Hello, hello, everybody. Pop culture creator here. So good to see everybody again. And I need to keep my dogs quiet. I apologize. It looks like it's a Monday evening, so we must be here for Star Trek: The Animated Series. And
Yay!
I'm joined by Gorillas Random Thoughts and Scotty R37. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
I'll be doing better here hopefully this weekend.
Hope this weekend. Yeah, Gorilla's having little issues with his car, and that's never good when your wheels are down. And I want to say hello to everybody in the chat there. It looks like some of you guys really came early. Good to see you, Lemon Pie. And Jill will be along shortly. She's having a technical issue, and she'll be right here with us to join us. Edge of Time, it's great to see you all. And if you're watching on the rerun, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Tonight we're going to be covering Star Trek: The Animated Series, episode BEM, BEM. And we have excellent. Hello, Captain. Good to see you.
Hello there. Nuclear
Hey,
vessels.
Captain.
Excuse me, nuclear vessels. That's right. Captain, tomorrow we're going to be covering, obviously, Star Trek, the TOS.
Tomorrow we're going to be covering yesterday. Is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Tomorrow's
A time
yesterday.
travel.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yep. It's a new timeline. They don't know. Ha.
It'll be interesting to see. I watched it last night, and it's like, wow, okay. It's been years since I've seen that. So,
Yeah, it's been a long time for
standard
me
principle.
too.
The moment you go back, you create a new timeline. So that's a completely it's a parallel Earth. They probably created the mirror universe right there.
yeah, and
No,
it's strange.
the mirror universe was created at First Contact.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. When Zephyr Cochrane, instead of reaching out his hand to shake the Vulcan's hand, he shot the Vulcans and they stole their technology.
What movie was that in their TV show?
Enterprise in the Mirror Darkly.
Oh, Enterprise. Oh, well, that's a retcon then. That's afterwards. No, I'm going with tomorrow's yesterday.
Yeah, that sounds like a retcon. Why would they do something like that?
It's actually pretty. It was cool for the episode in Enterprise because it's Jonathan Archer and that crew, but it takes place exclusively in the mirror universe.
So was it a third actor playing Zephyr Cochrane this time?
No, they just used archival footage from First Contact and then inserted a pulling out a shotgun.
So yeah, it doesn't sound very good, but I guess it's better than it sounds.
Oh,
dude, I would recommend watching it. It was good.
I have to first build up the tolerance to watch Enterprise in general. I heard it doesn't
build up the tolerance.
Yeah, I hear it doesn't get good until the last season or something like that, and that's
I've only
not
got the last season, so that works for me.
Oh, season 3 was pretty good with the Zindiar.
All I know is mirror to pole is exposed belly button to pole, so I'm down with that.
But it does have a slow start.
Yeah, and it's not necessary. I don't understand why
why can I hear a tribble?
It does sound like
my dogs. If my dogs, I just fed them. I apologize. Let me hush them up. I'll try.
Obviously, you didn't feed them enough, if they're growling for more.
Gorged on my grain.
No, what they do is okay. I put down the food, the bowl, and water, and then they actually stand in line. And I don't know why, but sometimes the one that's eating will turn around and growl at the one behind them, which there's no reason because she's waiting. There's no reason.
No, the funniest one was funny there. When we were growing up, we just put the plates down there and let the dogs lick the plates before we washed them and all that. And we had a beagle there, and she was aggressive and like whenever she'd get all the plates. She'd push the other two dogs out of the way and that. We put 3 plates as far away, spread out as we could across the kitchen there. It was funny as hell watching her try to protect all 3 plates.
I had a little chihuahua that was like that.
Yeah, she'd move away from one plate so the other dogs would go towards that one, so she'd run back, snap at them, so they'd go after her at another plate. It was one of the funniest things.
Oh, the smart dogs.
Yeah, smarter than the cats, because we got an actual picture of the just the look on the cat's face when we had a couple gerbils. we put the gerbils right on his head, just to look on his the cat's face. There was a gerbil on his head. Yeah, we had a couple gerbils for a while.
Lemon Pie
Oh.
says, "Hey, curator, hello, Lemon Pie. I hope you were doing well." And I Derivative Jill says, "Hey, at Lemon Pie." Lemon Pie says, "Greetings, Jill." And Lemon Pie says, "Shall we play a game?" Wackabot says, "Lemon Pie, do we have any bots yet?" Let's see. Hey, says Scotty. And Jill says Scotty. And Lemon Pie says Scotty. Everybody saying hello to everybody.
Hello, doctor.
Now Coronas tries to claim exclusive rights to whacking bots.
Exclusive rights. Well, I appreciate that. Lemon Pie, annex Scotty movement. Yes, Scotty Ove Bim. Oh, Scotty, so you watched Bim recently, I take it, Scotty?
I just watched it this evening right before I hopped on.
Okay, good. That'll be interesting to hear your take on that. Pop culture curator, we will start soon. Yes, we will as soon as Jill gets here. I shouldn't be reading my own chats. And Captain says lemon. Yo Cap says lemon. Let me test my StreamBots element and see if it's working here. Stream Elements bot, whatever it's called. And as and like I said, Edge of Time, it's good to see you.
Hey,
Resolute Germ, it's good to see you. Small dogs are really bad if they eat together. There we go. Now that one just moved, and now the third one's in line. Okay.
Never get two poodles and a chihuahua. It'll be a mess.
Oh, I know it, right? It may be worth trying feeding them separately, Resolute Germ. It's they do okay. They're actually very disciplined when they eat. It's like I said, they actually stand in line and wait. It's just that they get a little greedy. They'll growl sometime, but they never really fight or anything like that. No conflict. At least not while I'm around, that is. And Resolute Germ says, "Hi, Lemon Pie." And Chris Longfellow, good to see you, Chris. The gang's all here. Hi.
Meringue.
Yeah, everything's coming together. Lemon Pie says, "Chris, hey." And Chris says, "Pop Gorilla Scotty, Captain Hi all." Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, but it's kind of melancholy. I know we're going to be coming to the end of Star Trek the Animated Series here in a few weeks. I think I will be only have, I think maybe 4 episodes left after this one.
No. So I will say that you guys are going to be shocked here. I do got an A for this episode.
An A already from the start?
Yes. I think you might know why, Pop Culture.
I know why. Yes. Let me think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Chekhov
remember Saturday, don't you? Do you
remember Saturday? Yes.
When I was F the producer, F the writer, F the writers, F the directors, F Warner Brothers, F anybody who invested in that company. That whole rant.
Just for a bit of context, people, he's talking about Velma.
Yeah. So after watching that shit show,
you watched it? Why?
Because I didn't believe German on how bad it was.
Show, it's getting a lot of publicity. I was just watching the Drinker talk about it.
Yeah,
exactly. Everybody's talking about it, and guess what? Because everybody's talking about it, HBO Max says it's the highest rated animated show they have. So that proves my point. That proves my point that people bring.
Yeah.
Well, they use excuses. Well, I've got to say something, but guess what? Thank you. You've made it a successful show, just so you can get a click or a few subscribers.
No. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, after watching that, it makes me appreciate these old shows like this. That's what I was trying to say, Pop Culture. It's made me really appreciate this older stuff like this.
That makes sense, man.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to make you appreciate
a steak.
It's definitely going to make you appreciate the original Scooby-Doo more, right?
Oh, for sure.
But guess what? Give it a few weeks, and it's going to be just like all the other franchises. It's going to make you hate the original. That's going to be their point, just like everything else. Get to the point where you don't even want to watch the original Scooby-Doo anymore.
I listened.
Am I right, folks?
Well, exactly.
No.
I heard the only review that I listened to was a guy who I have seen consistently review Scooby-Doo stuff. And
a diehard Scooby-Doo fan, huh?
That's the only guy that I cared about. I skipped Drinker. I skipped everybody else. And I was like, I wonder what the Scooby-Doo fan says. Ooh. And he was like, I don't even know who this is for. I don't know what this is attempting to be. Like, there are things that you can do with Scooby-Doo, but this isn't it. And the only reason you're using the name is so that you have a Scooby-Doo veneer on it. It's because you want to capitalize on the IP. You don't care about Scooby-Doo.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
Like J.J. Abrams and
yeah.
Star Trek.
Now I got a question though. When they say ratings, though, doesn't that just mean the people who watch it, not the people who talk about it?
It's both. They go by the ratings, plus they go by social media
Yeah.
hype and talk, and it's all of it's together. That's why.
So
I don't
even
know.
though
I don't think
everybody's bitching about it, they count that as a high rating when everybody's
that's right.
bitching
They
about
don't look at whether you're saying good or bad. They're just looking at it that it's being talked about. It. That's
Why
all
do you
they
think my
see and
channel's
care
so
about.
popular?
To say, well, like, Cap, you would know if you dislike a video, it's still engagement.
It's still
Negative
engagement.
publicity, still publicity, folks. Keep it coming. Just understands.
Well, that's why we're still getting what season? I don't know how many of Discovery and shit new worlds and
Discovery.
all that other
that's-
garbage.
Well, some people like them.
And I wanted to say hello, Admiral Teague. So good to see you, Admiral.
Admiral.
Hello,
And
Admiral.
Resolute Germ says it's her second original animated show after Harley Quinn, so the competition isn't really that high. Well, when they're competing against themselves, you got crap against crap. There's not much to go on. And Admiral Teague says, "Hail lemon pie." And Chris says, "Too many people hate watching. That's why I don't do it. I'm not going to give them the attention. My channel's not. I will admit, hey, I may not get as many subs by doing that, but I don't care. I want my subs to be clean. I don't want to feel like a whore."
Right,
No
you'd
offense
rather
to
watch
anybody else.
Gilligan's Island that you do like. Exactly. Let's expose things that we do like. That's why you're doing Gilligan's Island, and I've got Casablanca on order.
Right.
Enjoy.
I don't, where people say, well, if we don't speak up, then we're just part of the problem. No, that is not it. You speak up, you're still helping the show, and they know that. That's why as long as they get those super chats and those subs, right, they're just going to keep on doing it.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, Pop, and the worst part about it is that I actually I watched She-Hulk and I liked it. And I tried to make videos on it, and no one wanted to hear that somebody liked it. When Picard comes out, if I like it, I'm not going to get any subs. Everyone else is going to be talking about Picard, and I'm going to be saying, you know what, maybe it's not that bad. Now, maybe it's going to be awful, but I'm not watching it with the intent of hating it, and it doesn't matter, because even if you do like it, you're not going to get the clicks because people don't like liking things.
Well, all you have to do is
Prejudice.
Sorry, go ahead, Captain.
No prejudgment on the show. Nice, open-minded. Let it suck or not suck, depending on what pixels are on the screen and stuff.
Well, I think, in my opinion, like for example, like the example you use, Scotty, She-Hulk. It's just that people who don't like it are not going to watch your review. But if you find people who like it, they'll watch your review. It's just that the people who like it are few and far between.
Well, and also people who like it may just be like, yeah, I liked it, and then they move on. It's not like the end of the world or the beginning of a new world. It's like, thank heavens, there was a She-Hulk show. It was just like, yeah, that was cute. Whatevs. Moving on. I have a life to lead here. It doesn't take 17 hours for me to realize that I didn't actually like Scooby-Doo that much to watch a remake, let alone get angry at it.
Well, I knew when, all of us heard last year about this show. We heard last year about the agenda. We heard last year that it was going to be crap. So I don't need to wait to watch it to actually find out that it's crap. I've said that before. I don't need to eat a turd to find out that it tastes like shit.
But last week, how many people cared about Scooby-Doo? Nobody.
Scooby-Doo's got a big following.
No, I know it has
Two
a big
words,
following.
Linda Cardellini.
I'm with you on the Linda Cardellini train. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, what I think part of the problem is there for the longest time. For the longest time, a lot of us weren't saying nothing. We're saying, "Oh, we'll watch, we'll chop it." And more shit came out there, So they said, "Oh, nobody's bitching about it, so might as well make more," But now we're all bitching about it, but yet they're counting it as part of the ratings, So what do we do? Do we stay silent and they go, "Oh, nobody's bitching about it, so we'll keep making them"?
No. If you stay silent, if you stay silent, Gorilla, they won't make it because then they figure there's no interest in it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm no longer doing a 15-week breakdown of Triumph of the Will because just don't want to give it the option.
Right. That might be a little controversial these days, I guess.
Exactly.
Even though it's film, I highly recommend it.
No, what I'm saying is, people, we tried to
then again,
boycott
George
the
Lucas-
stuff and staying quiet, and they kept making more and more shit. But then we started, because nobody was speaking out saying how bad it was. Even if the rate, we don't get to see how many people are actually watching it no more because of these streaming services don't have to disclose their information.
Yeah, but
But-
have you heard of Samba?
Of what?
It's Samba. It can tell the ratings. It's the one that tells the ratings for us. Oh, PvP is here.
Is that the
Look,
the
Hey,
robot
PvP.
that vacuums
Hey,
your
guys.
front room?
Hail PvP, good to see you.
PvP.
Hi.
Gorilla,
Good to
they
see you all
try
too.
they do try to hide their figures, but there's a third party company called Samba, which pretty much knows the ratings and gives those out. But here's what it is. If people, let's say people, okay, let's start from scratch. Let's say they have a franchise that people are not talking about, and they say, okay, let's give it a try. Let's make 5 episodes. And let's say the 5 episodes come out and they're bad. If people don't talk about it, there's no social media buzz, and there will be no bad ratings. They'll cancel after 5 episodes. But if people talk about it and there's a lot of buzz on social media, they don't look to see whether it's negative or positive. They'll say, hey, look, there's a whole bunch of buzz on social media. People must love this show. Let's renew it for another season.
Well, I
That's-
think they
that's how
just
it
want to
works.
get they just want to get a reaction of any kind, really.
That is
I
why.
think-
That's right. That's why
you
the
know,
articles come out ahead of time saying
I mean,
that it's
they
all
don't care.
about right. It's all about politics because that's just it. They know the anger is what's driving in the ratings, and
Yeah,
it
well,
works. Belma
yeah,
is a
well,
perfect example.
Exactly. It's about the agenda, really. I mean, they couldn't care less if people love it, hate it. What would hurt them though would be if people just ignored them.
That's what
If
exactly.
no one watched and
exactly.
nobody talked about it,
Nobody
then
talk
after
about
a
it.
while, yeah. Well, like I was watching the drinkers review of that Velma thing. It was
That's what we're talking
hilarious.
about.
Yeah,
That's what
I
we're
mean
talking
it's a relatively short video and it looks so bloody awful. I couldn't believe it.
It's obviously made and designed to upset people. I mean, everything about it seems to be hateful towards everybody, and that's
Mhm.
and it's working because everybody's talking about it. So boom, it's number 1 in the ratings.
Yeah, well, everybody except the people that, like the writers.
Enter.
They're kind of getting what they want, I guess, but there must be a very small group of people, I would think.
And I agree with Chris. Chris says, I don't watch awful things. Why waste time? Exactly. I agree, Chris.
Yeah.
And PvP, there you are. I'm just now getting to the chat, so I'm going to try to keep up, guys. PvP says hello, guys. There you are. Lemon Pie says hello, PvP. Resolute just says hello. Chris says, PvP, hi there. Hope you are warm and well. And are you warm and well, PvP?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
All right. I'm just good. I'm asking for lemon, but of course we are concerned as well.
Well, yeah, I'm hanging in there. I could probably use some sleep, but other than that, I'm not too bad, I guess.
Well, I'm sure we all could, right? You never get enough of that.
No, I didn't get enough last night, that's for sure.
Oh, well, that's not good. Chris
So
says
gonna
that
ask-
Mindy woman is so awful and likable. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Yes, PvP.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Jill absent from the show today.
Oh no, she'll
She's
be here
currently
shortly.
invisible. She has a cloak.
She's having a little bit of technical issues, and she'll be right along
okay.
with us.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because I mean she's always pretty much on the show here.
Yeah, I wanted to address what Chris is saying. That Mindy woman is so awful and likable. Haven't you guys noticed that the writer and creator of Velma, I had to remember the name for a sec, is following along the same step-by-step, paint by the numbers as the writers of She-Hulk because they know it works. They cause the anger, they cause the division, and people click, people watch it, people review, people are talking about it in mass, and boom, it's at the top of the ratings. And the company says, ooh.
I don't think it's a fair comparison because there are She-Hulk fans who actually thought it was true to the character, whereas the Velma thing is even baffling Scooby-Doo fans.
Well, my point is though is the negative attention people drew to it helped them think that it was more successful than what it was.
Well, that wasn't my case.
You know what I don't get though? I mean, like you said, Scotty, I mean, it's not even made for Scooby-Doo fans, this thing. And so it's like if they're trying to, push their message, as the drinker says, who is going to be, getting their message? Like, people are just going to tune them out. I mean,
remember, it's not even made for kids either, right? So you got to narrow that out, right?
Obviously not with the lesbian content and stuff like.
So it's made for
gay
narcissistic. It hates. Okay, we know it hates men. It hates white people.
Oh yeah.
So it's obvious, and it's not made for kids, which means it's made for narcissistic feminist women. That's all that's left.
Yeah.
Have you
it
seen
would seem
Jack
like it.
Reacher? Have you seen the Reacher TV show?
I have
Pop
not.
culture?
I've not seen it.
Not me.
You should
no.
check it out. You would like it a lot.
I need to check out that one with what is it? Sylvester Stallone, whatever that is.
Tulsa King?
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, Tulsa King. Somebody was comparing that to Grand Theft Auto on Midnight's Edge today. I was like, what? Maybe I should check that out. Is it good? Have you seen it?
I've heard that it's good, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, because I'm turned off on
I'm
TV
not-
because TV. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I watch very little TV because it's so woke. So it takes a lot for me to watch something these days. But I know
Well-
Stallone is in it, so I don't know.
Well, that's why I'm saying Reacher is a good show for you to check out because it's a action TV show that's got a little bit of humor. It's not all dark and drab, but it's takes place in the South, and it's about this giant muscle-bound Sherlock Holmes type who drifts into town and starts solving murders.
That sounds interesting. Somebody else was telling me about that. I do appreciate that. I think it was Jedi Bill.
Yeah, it's really good.
And excuse me. PvP says hi. Oh, Chris, doing okay. Hope you are
I
good
meant
there.
hi.
That's
Thanks.
okay.
My
Chris is
typing
lemon
at
pie,
times.
47 Fahrenheit in Florida. Brr. And Resolute Germs says Samba is self-reporting from the services. And Anna Jill says still working on the issue. I will be there soon. That's totally fine, Jill. We could start without Jill, but I prefer not starting without Jill. I like her voice when she narrates.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting. I mean, we
Resolute
got other
Germ.
things we can talk about anyway. Like,
Oh yeah, we could talk.
you know,
Last week it was like
awful
4
TV.
hours. Resolute Germ says it's probably not even in the top 100 for HBO Max. They just said it was the best premiere for an original anime series they've had. So it's a lie by structure. Well, just like when Disney was releasing those horrible The Eternals, they said it was like the best thing ever. And Derivative Jill says top of what ratings? Where are the numbers outside of Twitter drama? There's I don't remember the name of the headlines, Jill, but on Midnight's Edge, I was watching them and they were reading new articles. There were HBO Max was saying that it was at the top of the rating. Whether that's the truth or not, we don't know. Lemon pies, I think they could be seeing that out of spite, in my opinion, honestly.
Well, what Jerm was saying earlier, though it being at the top of the numbers, is that they only got 2 cartoons on their whole thing there. So
Original
what's the
cartoons, right?
competition? So
Well,
what's the
I heard,
competition?
yeah, and I heard that they removed all the old Warner Brother cartoons. Maybe that's why they wanted people watching this instead, right?
Yeah, I think that's doing more of it than anything, where they can manipulate the numbers like that.
Well, because obviously that's what they're going to do. They're going to remove the OG stuff that we all like and care about. And that way, all that's left is garbage that they're feeding us, because they know people will eventually be desperate enough to start watching it, like New Trek, which is exactly what's happening with New Trek.
Well, and this goes back to what Gorilla was saying in terms of this week's episode of the animated series being an A. And this is how I've sort of dealt with.
No, I said it's 1A. It still has an F in there.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I have that token F. Thank you.
I'm glad
Thank
you didn't
Gorilla.
let us down.
Right,
But,
Gorilla
like,
never
I've been-
disappoints.
That's why like watching this stuff has been so good for me. Like I'm having more fun looking back at the classic stuff that I'd never seen before, like older movies, older entertainment. I'd rather do that than wait for the next thing to get angry at, because when it shows up, it gets exactly what it deserves, not my attention.
Yeah, there's actually so much great older stuff to watch too. I mean, you could basically spend a lifetime, checking out everything that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there
There
is,
you
and,
go.
there is, and not only that, but when you see the current modern day stuff, it makes all that older stuff seem so much better now, because we know we'll never get that again.
Yeah, well, hopefully TV might get better again, but I don't think it's going to be for quite a while.
Well, they're starting
looking.
to get changes there. Like Daily Mail's producing some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, but that's
Like-
a very, very small percentage.
Yeah, but they're just getting started there. I know Tim Pool said he was trying to get into the production of TV shows and all that too, but it takes a while to get that stuff up and going.
Yeah, but he's into politics. That Daily Mail, is that the one that hired Gina Carano?
Yeah, and
I
well,
heard him. Yeah, but her movie wasn't very. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad. But financially, I heard it wasn't very successful.
well, their one Run Hide Fight was pretty successful. No, but Tim Pool's trying to expand out away from politics. Like they got Pop Culture Crisis. They got what's that one with ghost with the ghost stories? I can't think of it right now or out the top of my head. But they're expanding out away from like they still got their main political show and their main
Right.
news thing, but they're also expanding out to cultural.
Well, that'll be. Well, I wish them the best. We need a breath
Yeah.
of fresh air. It's just that I know they're going up. It's a big hurdle they have to overcome.
Yeah, if I had a little bit of money and people around here, like I would just start a YouTube channel there of called Tim Pool pitches that he's never done. Because they
Have you
say,
guys-
"Oh, that'd be a good pitch of something," but they never do it.
Have you guys seen this thing going around? I saw it mentioned on Twitter a couple times, where they're supposedly creating a movie studio. It's a what do you call it? A GoFundMe. GoFundMe. What do they call that? Where they have an invention and if they can get $16,000 total raise, they can make
Crowdfunding.
That's it. That's it. They're supposedly doing a crowdfunding on a movie studio, and their hype is it's for the fans and by the fans. They're asking for us fans to donate and saying that you donate to this studio, you'll have a voice in making what you want to see, blah, 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 blah. And it said, look, here's interviews by some of our top directors. And some of them are immediately the worst ones, Spielberg and all the other ones that have the far left radical point of view. And I'm like, what is the point?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
No. And this is like the entire reason, and I hate to hold George Lucas up, but part of the reason why George Lucas has his entire business model before he sold it away was so that he didn't have to get involved in a studio structure. What kind of a person would say, I will give you money to be my boss?
Exactly right. And especially when you're knowing that unless you're going to give them all the money they want, your voices will never be heard. What are you going to do?
Know how you build a
$10,
studio?
you know?
Make a movie.
A successful one without a message, and that's not possible.
Well, even if you want to have a message, as long as it's even-handed, if you can make a social commentary movie, it doesn't matter. As long as it's, I want it not to be in sacrifice of a good story and compelling characters.
Yes, I agree with that. Right. Well, yeah, you obviously every movie's got to have a message, otherwise you're not going to watch it. But as long as it's not the message we've been getting from the other studios.
Sure.
Sounds like some derivatives got into Jill's device. And Jill says yes at Lemon Pie. Resolute says the numbers are based on max promotional claims. And didn't even Amazon says their rings of around the toilet did well, even though we all know that wasn't
Rings around the toilet.
And
Yeah,
I
but
drew to
nothing to
Jill.
back it up. Have you got any sources for those numbers, Jeff Bezos?
Right.
Nope, just my
Where's your-
ass.
That's right. And I drew to Jill says I like 90s feminism. They got it right. Should have stayed that way. Well, there was a day where men and women could live and coexist with each other because they needed each other, and that's how they call it the human race. But that's something they want to put a stop to, apparently. And Resolute Germ says hi, Jill. And Jill says hi, Resolute Germ. Scogly says cheers. Cheers, Scogly.
Cheers.
Great to see you. Thank you for joining us, Scogly. And Jill says LOL. And Resolute says screw the streaming service. I own more cartoons than those bastards ever put at one time. I have all the Warner Brothers. I have all the DC superhero stuff. I've got a whole boatload of cartoons as well.
That's the way
I'll
to go.
watch. Yep, I'll watch those any day. Scogly says they released that movie exclusively on the Daily Wire website, so obviously it didn't make anything at the box office. Actually, Scogly, I was reading an article where they showed it. Excuse me. They test marketed it for a few audiences, and it made $8,000 at the theaters, but it was only a few theaters.
$8,000. That's pretty poor though.
Oh God,
Yeah.
AOC's movie got more than that.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, not by much. It made 10,000, but that's a difference. I thought AOC's was poor.
Right.
Here's
It made
what-
it
but
made
in
less
all
than
fairness-
Bros.
But in all fairness, her movie was released to thousands of theaters.
And Jill says Gina's movie was good, not the best, but I and not really into westerns. So great considering that. I like westerns, and I like her. I just haven't had a chance to see the movie yet. And Scogli says, but as far as exclusive website releases of movies, they did quite well, actually. Well, I'm glad to hear that for her. She deserves it. And Resolute Germ says, it is very possible to build up a studio outside the Hollywood system. The Christians have been doing it for years. Yes, they have. But the Christians, bless them for
So
their
the
movies.
Hindus,
I
Bollywood make more movies than
Right.
anyone.
but it's nearly impossible for Christians to make a movie that doesn't have a heavy Christian message, and that turns off a lot of the general audience. If they could put that money into something that
As referenced by
is
Rick
not
and Morty.
all right, but whenever you have a message, and when it's bigger than the plot and more, the whole movie's based around that message first, whether it be feminism, whether it be radical communism or socialism or religion, it's only made for a smaller group of people. But I know I wouldn't trust any kind of crowdfunding studio when I see that the current crop of directors that are ruining Hollywood are also the ones trying to form their own quote studio right after they lost a whole bunch of their money in that Bitcoin scandal. So now that's another way of them coming for our money, because I live in California. My taxes are already going to Hollywood. We bailed them out many times, and we're going to be bailing them out again. The last thing I'm going to do is put my money into a crowdfunding source for a bunch of, well, I don't want to swear, but I'll just say directors that, especially after Steven Spielberg, seeing him this week on the Golden Globes, it's like, oh my God, I don't even think I can watch his movies anymore.
What did he say? What's Stephen been saying?
Steven Spielberg made a movie called The Fablemans, where he decided he wanted to tell his life story. So it's based on him. It's written by him or his little team. It's produced by him. It's directed by him. It's him. It bombs at the box office. It made like $12 million. It bombed horribly, but of course they gave him the award. And there he is up on stage for the awards, patting themselves on the back, telling everybody how wonderful he is. And thank you for the award to all his other co-liberal bigwigs. That's
why I gave up on award shows many, many years ago. I mean, they give awards to some of the most pathetically awful crap.
Look what West Side Story was up for all these awards, and it was a big box office disaster, huge disaster.
Yeah.
Scogli says it's like laughing at kids at a lemonade stand because they didn't make any sales in the Soviets. They didn't sell it there. Well, yeah, that's true, Scogli. I completely agree. Jill says, sorry this is taking so long, but I'm enjoying your discussion. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Jill.
It's nice that you can sit in the stands for a little while, Jill.
Yeah, I guess for people that are, if you're here on the rerun, I apologize. You're probably hoping to at least talk about Star Trek, right?
Eventually.
Instead of everything
Enterprise behind you there.
Yeah, we got the Enterprise there. We got flashy lights. There you go.
Actually, over in New Zealand, today's date is 1701.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, there you go, a little Easter egg. Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, we're going to be running out of TAS episodes soon. We've only got 4 left. So we've been kind of debating on what we should cover next. And I was kind of in my mind doing a toss up between, I know I kind of mentioned this last week, between doing Lost in Space or the Batman 66 series with Adam West.
How about Enterprise, but you start with season 4?
Enterprise. How about we start with the very last episode and work our way back?
Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We want to skip the last episode.
That figures. Wait a minute.
Come on. Come on. You're skipping my favorite episode, Scotty?
Well, no, never mind. I've been thinking.
I remember now. That last episode is historic because I had heard about it before it premiered, and then a friend of mine got together. By then, I'd already stopped watching Trek. But we had heard about that last episode where Troy and Riker give pretty much FU to the fans, and we had to see that last episode. So, yes, I do remember. Oh, it was all just a dream. It was all just a holodeck simulation. Total FU to the fans. Total FU to the fans. But I don't know. People seem to like Riker and Troy still. I don't know why.
Oh no, it's renowned even by the people who were in it, the people who made it. They said themselves it was a bad call. It was a bad call.
Yeah, I heard Scott Bakula wasn't happy at all.
Yeah, no one was.
He wants
no
to
one.
go back and redo it like it was Quantum Leap.
Which I'm enjoying. Which I am actually very much enjoying when Jill and I cover it.
Yay!
Yay!
So I'm sure that last episode was probably the brainchild of what Brandon Braga or Berman, one of those idiots.
Both of them actually.
I'm not surprised.
Hang
See,
on,
they're
did
the
Berman
reasons
do
why I stopped
Galactica?
watching Trek.
Yeah, but
So
you have different views on Star Trek than I do in terms of how long
Yes.
it goes. I still enjoy Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. Haven't gotten that much into Voyager, and I like Enterprise. So
Totally
Pop
fine.
culture. Have you seen The Expanse?
Nope.
I really recommend it. I can't predict you'd love it, but I think you won't hate it based on everything I know of you.
Oh, I've heard people
No
talk about
agenda,
it.
good story.
It doesn't go off the cliff at a certain point.
Yes, but it's got 3 solid seasons before it goes off that cliff. And even Expanse off a cliff is better than a lot of things on the cliff. So 3 perfect
On the
seasons,
cliff.
and then a 3-season slow motion train wreck.
So, well, isn't it best probably just stop watching it before it's heading for that crash, or would you say
I
watch
like
it till
Game
the
of
end?
Thrones. It's a kind of a cliffhanger at the end of season 3, but a kind of cliffhanger like, oh, we just started a new story. So you could, I would say it's as close to 3 seasons of perfect science fiction TV as you're ever gonna get.
And you're talking about season 1, 2, 3, is that right?
Of The Expanse, that is correct, sir.
Well, at least
Recommended
they
from the
take
if you like Battlestar Galactica the remake, then it's even more in that direction.
Oh, well, now you're trying to talk me into not watching it. Sorry,
damn.
I didn't like the remake of Battlestar Galactica, but
Why, you got
I do
problems
understand
getting
your
Starbucks?
point.
Don't like the coffee?
I want a Cylon robot. I don't want a cheap.
You're like a sexy blonde now?
Well, to save money, no. I like my
Imagine
sci-fi
waking
for a
up with
reason.
that. Yes, Imperious leader. On that one wonky eye. That's going to put you off making love, isn't it?
Yeah, I can imagine the picture being. And look, everybody, our Cylons are all in human form. That'll save us a bunch of money on our budget. No
in
thanks.
season 3, we can work out if they're humans or replicants. I mean, Cylons.
Or how about? Oh yeah, we'll throw one every now and then. An alien. Oh, the fans want a robot. Well, we'll throw in a CGI one every a few seconds, because due to budgetary constraints. It's like, no, I want my Cylons. I want a robot. I mean, I've mentioned this before. It was the same with that War of the Worlds TV series. It was the same with that Series V. Every time you have the aliens in human form, they only do that because it saves budget. If they at least do both, have the robots and the human form, but no, it's cheap. It's cheap.
Hey, Pop, have you watched Farscape?
I watched about the first half of the first season. I didn't like the puppet.
It takes a while to get going. It's really season 2 when it takes off. But if you want, aliens, I mean, Farscape is one show that really did really extravagant, elaborate aliens, like really well.
If you like lots of aliens, just watch the cantina scene out of Star Wars on loop forever.
The original, that is.
Yeah, Star Wars.
And Leonard Pius says, I'm enjoying this too, anyhow. And Resolute says, Batman, you can't beat Adam West. Nobody can beat Adam West. And Jill says, The Explorers is more near future and hard science fiction from the season I saw. That's what I heard as well.
True story, fair comment.
I kind of like that.
Kind of within the solar system, at least for the first 3 seasons. So you got your Mars, you got your Belters, you got your Earthers. Good stuff.
Why would you, if you were to describe, Captain, why The Expanse went off the cliff? Was it because like budget or bad writing, or it went woke, or what happened?
Loss of an actor, loss of a main actor through politics. Well, we still don't really know what happened. He either Me Too'd someone or he got Me Too'd.
One of the main actors?
That is correct.
Oh, that's too bad.
And so they just kind of bumped him off screen, and it kind of ruined everything.
And of course, we automatically know what his beliefs are, even though I have no idea what the show is or who this actor is. Obviously, the only way to get Me Too'd is if you have one point of view, and that's not far left.
Or you could assault someone in the beginning.
That's what makes it. I don't know which of those it was. They never made it clear which. And I thought it was kind of annoying. Like, we should know. Yeah, exactly. Is he a horrible criminal or is he actually the victim?
Well, all it takes now is an accusation. All it takes now is an accusation. They don't have to have proof anymore.
But again, 3 good, solid seasons. Lovely, and some 0G sex. Come on.
I will check it out. I will. I'll just have to figure out how to end it because I feel blessed that I didn't watch Lost or Game of Thrones for that reason because I just knew they wouldn't hold out. I'm so glad I didn't watch them.
Exactly.
Pew,
Well
pew,
said, Disco Drums.
pew. But okay, here's what I wanted to mention, and Gorilla and I have spoken about this on my Gilligan's Island stream. If I was to cover the Adam West Batman series, I mean, come on, half of that, 3/4 of that is comedy. It's very, very hard to review comedy without ruining the jokes
It's
because you
very
can't
Thanks,
say
campy.
chum.
right
It's
because the show's
very
already
campy.
campy, right? And we don't want to like
Batman
riff.
campy? How dare you?
Actually,
Yeah,
when I saw it back in the 60s as a kid, I kind of hated it because I thought they've ruined Batman. He's supposed to be serious and dark, and we got all this pop, you know, culture, pop art kind of colors and Batman doing dancing, and it was kind of I thought it was kind of lame back then. But I mean, it's aged well. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
Well,
well,
it's also like before when I was watching it, and then like when I watched it as a kid, and then you get Adam West, or sorry, you get Michael Keaton, and it goes through as the history of Batman as we know it. Yeah, it's campy and cheesy, but if you go back and watch it now and view it as the sitcom that it was intended to be in the 60s, it's
Yeah,
actually really funny.
it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I had to get older to appreciate what I was actually seeing, right?
Yeah.
Because as a
Me too.
kid, I mean, you're looking at it with different eyes, so to speak. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, look at Julie Newmar.
well, that was nice. That's one good
absolutely.
thing they did well was all the ladies in the show. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. When they
Let me
brought
see.
Batgirl in, that was pretty cool.
Oh
It
yeah.
was Yvonne Craig, yeah, the only Batgirl.
She was smoking hot, man.
Resolute Germ says Farscape is great. The puppets do take some people some time to get used to.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
just the
can understand.
producers.
Right. Resolute Germ says Expanse is okay. The fake South African accents are borderline offensive at times. How many seasons did?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, well, making up an accent in Dota Loader. Yes, what you're saying. I like the way that different actors had different variations. So although it was a made-up accent or it was a bit South African, that yeah, they had regional variations. Unlike Game of Thrones, we're like, I'm from Flea Bottom. I'm from Flea Bottom too. Oh, I can tell by the fucking accent.
Or how about the new shows like the Orville, where everybody sounds like from L.A.? I mean, right from L.A., UCLA. I mean, like, oh, duh, and like, oh, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh my goodness. I like the Orville, but give us some variety, people. How about some Midwest at least? Maybe some Southern voices.
Sandwich.
But I do agree with that. So yeah, that's why I'm not really sure if I want to do Batman. I love the series too, but it's so hard to cover comedy without ruining it. Because I mean, without saying, "Well, that's fake," or "There's no way that would work." There's no way they'd get out of that. You can't do that kind of stuff with Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
Lost in Space might be a better choice actually.
Still
Season 1
waiting
was
here for
really
Jill.
good.
Is this what it's like being on stage with the Beatles, waiting for Paul McCartney to show up? Like, we're doing well, but we're missing someone.
somebody go back there, tell him to put down the Coke and get out here.
Wow.
She usually likes Diet Coke.
Hey.
There you go. I meant Paul McCartney, not Jill.
Fair enough.
Uh,
It's funny. I remember an interview with it was a famous band. They went into a recording studio to record an album. And the Eagles had just been in there recording Hotel California.
oh jeez.
And they said the keyboards, the mixers,
thought
and
they'd never
everything were
leave.
covered. Right. But they said the keyboards, the mixers, everything was covered with cocaine.
Jeez. Oh, the rock
That's
and roll
what-
lifestyle.
Well, here, I think I just figured out how we can make better television now. Bring
Oh.
the Coke back to the writing room.
That might help there.
Hand out free cocaine to the writers.
And tell them nobody's leaving here until we get another H&R puppet
We're getting
stuff.
3 more seasons of Miami Vice.
Well,
Yes.
well, I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering this correctly, some of the best shows and all that were the ones where the producers and the writers were all on coke.
Well, even the Brady Bunch, some of them got high. I mean, come on.
See, proves my point. You just
Gilligan's
proved my
Island,
point.
right?
Thank you.
Marianne and Bob Denver, both of them, they were getting high behind the scenes.
Ah.
Yeah, that would
See,
explain a few things, wouldn't it?
That just proved my point right there.
If you were a full-grown man, a teacher,
I am.
remember this.
Thank you.
A
Wait, so
teacher.
I'm not a full-grown man?
No, I'm just saying, if you're a full-grown man and
Yes.
you're a teacher, you have a wife and you have kids, it's going to be hard to play Gilligan without getting high every now and then, right? Yeah, trying to act like a simpleton. The man was very intelligent and well-read, and it was, but he didn't think the role was below him, so he could have easily turned it down. So, but his wife Dreama talked about how, of course, there was that period after the show where he regretted doing it, where he was typecast. But he eventually embraced the character, when it became popular again. But he was a teacher. You guys remember the old Dukes of Hazzard show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Bone Luke.
Yeah.
All right, you remember
Come
the
on,
little short,
Enos. Good.
the short guy, Boss Hogg. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Boss Hog.
He was a professor, a college
Wow.
professor.
What?
So yeah, you definitely never know, right?
So that's back in the days when actors could actually really act well.
Yeah, they could really act, and they would act right. Even though they had their degrees and everything, they acted because it was fun, and obviously it probably made more money than their teaching profession, right?
You'd think so, yeah.
And teaching profession doesn't give you the residuals. I mean, you'll get a pension, but it's not as good as residuals.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister was a teacher, actually, so I'm kind of familiar with. They work pretty darn hard, and quite often they don't get paid, a great deal. So
Another one too is Lenny and Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah,
Squiggy was also a professor.
Wow.
The little short one,
They're
Squiggy
all
was also a
professors.
professor.
Didn't the
Michael
two of them,
He
McKean?
was a quantum mechanic.
didn't they the
Worked on
two of
tiny
them play,
motorbikes.
didn't they play music in real life? McKean and
Mike McKean did, but I don't know if the short guy did or not.
yeah, McKean. He was in what?
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap. Yeah, that's the film. Yeah.
And most recently in Better Call Saul. Great job in there. He should have won an Emmy, damn it. But of course, they're not going to give it to him. He's the wrong color and the wrong gender.
Yeah, I watched the first season of Saul, and I thought it was excellent, but I've never got around to watching the rest yet. I have to check it out one of these days.
I recommend it. It doesn't disappoint, and it's good till the end. It just finished its last season.
So it's like Breaking Bad pretty much then as quality.
Yes.
Holds up.
Yeah, and what's good is that the more you watch it, the more it'll refer back to Breaking Bad, and it's great to see cameos and references every now and then.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they did bring some of the characters back, didn't they? And so
Yep.
But no Jessica Jones.
No Jessica Jones, unfortunately. I want to say hello to Eugene Bird. Eugene, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Eugene says Daisy, Flash. Oh, yes. Daisy Dukes.
Oh, Daisy. Nice
And
shot.
Jill says hello, Eugene Bird. And Eugene Bird says, hail, mighty anti-derivative Jill. I don't know why.
He was a teacher, Sting.
Sting. And remember Brian May, the guitarist with Queen. He's I think an astrophysicist, right?
yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty smart guy. And he built his guitar, did he not?
Can you just buy one like everyone else?
No, I think he built it himself from scratch. I think customized the whole thing. That's probably why it has such a unique sound, really.
Yeah, I'm sure he was smart enough to do it. He was definitely a brilliant man.
Mm. Yeah, I wish the original Queen was still going. Boy, they put out some good albums.
One of the members is unavailable.
Sadly. Yeah.
Freddie Mercury's voice is just one in a, billions. I mean, it was so unique.
Yeah, he had a real gift for sure. I mean, man, he could sing.
And he was just starting to get into the really good stuff. And when he died, it's really too bad.
Yeah, I remember the Live Aid show, which was maybe about 6, 7.
Unlike the writers of the movie, you got it wrong.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the film.
The movie was not that good, right?
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Especially considering it had Michael Myers in it. It's like, no thanks. I don't need to see him. And just because he likes the Queen doesn't mean he has to be in the movie. But hey, you never know, right? So we are coming up on an hour, and we haven't been able to.
Poor
We haven't
Jill.
started our stream yet, and
Paging Paul McCartney. Paging
Right,
Jill McCartney.
well, I want to apologize for her. It's I know Jill. She knows what she's doing, so she's having technical issues, which I can understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jill's kind of a techno whiz, isn't she? I mean, she's pretty smart with all the computer stuff.
Yeah, I think she's a software engineer.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sure
so something must be
Yeah.
majorly wrong for her to be, taking this long to figure it out.
Yeah, I wish there was something I could do to help her. If there's anything I can do,
Yeah.
Jill, or we can do, let us know.
Yeah, it's too bad
But
she doesn't have
but
a
we're not trying to.
phone.
Right, we're not trying to rush you, Jill. I'm just trying to say I totally understand, and you're absolutely fine. But I think maybe. Oh, there we go. Finally, okay. I guess
I
the
got
boss
him.
must have heard me. Yes.
Yes, the bots have arrived.
Who's gonna win? Jill or Kronos?
Kronos, by the way, is Kronos here? Hello, Kronos.
Oh,
Have I
boy.
been showing all the chats? I've been trying to cover all the chats. Kronos, I'm sorry if I missed your chat. Let me see. I'm trying to look for it. Eugene says Flash Gordon soundtrack. They say Brian may study dust. The dust in interstellar space. That's interesting.
Stella.
Stellar. The dust in interstellar space. I wonder how that's possible. But I guess if it's possible, he's going to be able to figure it out. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be covering. Tomorrow was yesterday on Jill's channel, right? TOS.
Yes.
And there's going to be a whole bunch of time travel. Maybe we could try to keep that stream under 3 hours. I don't know.
Well, let's say 12.
12.
I'll keep my time travel comments to a minimum. They're pretty much a set pattern by now.
It is a good episode. I watched it again last night for the first time in many years, and it still holds up.
Yeah, it's a solid one. I don't know if I put it at A level Trek, but it's solid B level for sure.
But I have to, and I was checking because I wondered this when I was young, and I still wonder it, and I wonder it again after watching that episode. The Enterprise is not designed to fly inside of an atmosphere, is it?
Oh.
Good question, yeah.
Because we know it has warp engines and it has the impulse engine, and we know it has thrusters to leave space dock. But they've never, I don't think within canon that I know of, unless you guys, tell me if I'm wrong. Does it ever? I know Voyager was eventually designed to land, if I remember.
Yes.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it landed in the final episode back on Earth, did it not?
No, it landed on a planet a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think
landed,
when they got back to Earth, they flew down and had.
No, they just
They
just
didn't
flew
land.
past
They
the
did a
Golden Gate
flyby.
Bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant.
But
Yeah.
that's very different from landing.
Well,
Yeah. They
we're
did,
getting technical now. Okay.
yeah.
Between
They-
flying and landing? Yes, I
I
suppose
use
we are.
flying and
They
landing
kinda do go together,
synonymously.
though,
They're
hopefully.
synonymous.
they pulled a Maverick is what they did when he goes
Buzz the tower.
control tower or requesting a flyby. No. They go, son of a bitch! I want those fucking flyboys in my office right now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Resolute Germ says, I don't think Kronos is actually here. Oh, well, I'm talking to, Kronos, if you're out there, shout out to you.
Shout out Kronos in our minds.
Absolutely.
Kronos
And
was on Wi-Fi Nation earlier, but strangely enough, Wi-Fi Nation wasn't. I got stuck holding the baby, so I did a couple of funnies and fucked off.
you did a captain on you, huh?
He did a cap, yeah, exactly, but he left me alone rather than 3 funny other panel members. I'm like, I'm too busy to do my own show. I can't be doing yours. So here I am.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about that last night after Jill was talking about it on your stream. That's funny because I remember it's like she was saying that's how her and I met. Is originally her and I know when I launched most of the time when I was on people's panels, I would just mute most of the time. I didn't talk very much. And
Noted.
that was one of the first times Jill was on a panel, and she was also on mute. And I remember her and I were both on mute, listening to all you guys go back and forth. Everybody leaves, and you suddenly leave Jill and I together, and we're like, "What?" And we both went mute, and we're like, I remember we were telling each other, "Wow, we're not used to talking." No, well, how are you? And we introduced ourselves to each other, and that's how Jill and I met. So it's like thrust us into a room together, and hey, that next thing you know, now we have a stream together. So thank you,
Boom.
Captain. I appreciate that.
No worries. I like to throw people together in odd circumstances. It does work.
It does work.
Yeah, these
right?
days, folks, those of you tired of the limey voice, I'm too busy to guarantee being on my own channel. Just busy, busy, busy. And look, all these fine, funny people here. Who needs me anyway?
Well, it's so great because to find somebody who loves Star Trek as much as I do, and then obviously all you guys do as well.
I
But
realised today my channel is more Star Trek than Star Wars now because I got all the best Trekoids, or most of the best Trekoids, coming onto the channel just by osmosis. There's more Trek than Wars now, which is kind of nice.
I'd say so too. But I think with Star Wars, people are afraid to. They're ashamed to say they're fans anymore. I don't bring it up. I used to be a fan, but not
I've actually
anymore.
gone off it. One good movie and a cliffhanger. That's it.
Well, that's the problem with Star Wars. I mean, there's so little of the original quality stuff, in number of hours. I mean, compared to Trek, which is, got a vast catalog of episodes. So there's just more
What,
to,
TOS?
more to pull from, more to talk about with Trek.
Exactly.
Well, but the people who like Star Wars now, I feel like it's almost become a little exclusive for me. Like, and I've given up on Star Wars and a lot of it has to do not just with the poor quality of the sequel trilogy, but also getting into the Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, there's a lot of deep cuts that happen on the new stuff. Even like I've heard Andor is good. I do not care because I broke up with Star Wars. So yeah, but it's also, there's so many references and things, and now they're bringing in the books, even though Kathleen Kennedy said, "Oh, we can't touch the books," and it's like, oh, what? Remember when you said that? And now they're bringing in Thrawn, and so whatever.
So you'd like need a book just to follow everything that's going on. It sounds like.
Well, and it's the kind of investment that I've already put into Star Trek, and I because Star Wars is no longer special. I liked the fact that if I wanted to go to the deep cuts into like the books and things like that, I could, but it wasn't necessary. And now it just seems like with all like Commander Cody and Ahsoka Tano, like there are people that they're introducing, and I'm like, I don't even know who you are. You've never been in a movie. And as far as I'm concerned, Star Wars is a cinematic experience. I don't care about the TV shows when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah, I haven't read the books, so I'm not familiar with any of those characters.
Yeah, after the first two films, I pretty much lost interest when Return came out. That was
so did George Lucas.
Yeah, I did not like that movie much.
Yeah, I wasn't even a fan of the prequels. Yeah, I didn't like the prequels very much. I barely tolerated the third movie, but I pretty much didn't like the first and the second ones. I remember from the first one, I just remember the annoying little kid.
Oh,
and the second one, all I remember is the talking heads and the debates with the councils is all I remember.
Yeah, and I remember the one with the kid, how they ripped off the chariot race and Ben Hur, like,
Yes.
That was just like, done better.
Actually, I realised something else that's a bad wreck. I only just thought that here's a new complaint. That's right. The whole, the Tusken Raiders taking pot shots at those digital chariots going at 5 billion miles an hour. And then that makes a mockery thinking they'll be going, yeah, only stormtroopers are this precise. No, it seems like stormtroopers can't shoot shit, and the fucking Tusken Raiders are like Olympic marksmen, and that's just Lucas doing it.
Oh, that's pretty
okay.
good.
So,
you complain about the prequels. You're welcome.
Okay, Captain Finney, I do got a question for you. If a stormtrooper and if a stormtrooper and a red shirt both get into a firefight, does the stormtrooper actually hit something, or does the red shirt actually survive?
Wow, two laws cancel out. I think there'll be an accidental ricochet that will kill the red shirt.
Okay, because I was talking about this with one of my coworkers there, and he said we'd be creating a paradox.
Yeah, well, you can't. You know how I feel about shared universes and fudging up the IPs. Before you know it, you got Ready Player One. Ew. So the answer is they'd never meet because they're separate IPs.
Jill says we just have to wait. Yeah, we'll start doing sound checks earlier in the day now. I was just having device manager issue. All will be well in a few moments. No problem, Jill. No problem. And PvP says you're fine, and I'd rather Jill. Thumbs up. Eugene Bird says watching Clone Wars is quite a time investment. Rewatching on season 5.
5. That's a lot of Clone Wars.
Clone Wars that's a CGI show? Is that right, or something like that? No,
some cartoon.
Cartoon.
Is it regular cartoon? Oh no, Clone Wars the movie was like kind of more CGI animation, something.
Yeah, I think I tried watching Clone Wars during the first season. I think, but I think it's because honestly, because I didn't read the Star Wars books. I wasn't familiar with a lot of the characters they were introducing. So that's like when you were mentioning them earlier, Scotty. It's like okay, but I'm not familiar with those. If they're under the right leadership, if it was a different studio, I would say, well, I'd be interested in whatever they have to give us. But considering it's Disney introducing characters from the books, I'm not sure if I care or not.
The books were never canon anyway. George Lucas didn't give a fuck about them.
I think with George Lucas, he just wanted the money. He just wanted his cut of the pie, and that's all he cared about.
Yeah, the EU was never canon, even before Disney. Get over it, everyone. Scotty,
But I don't know. We'll never get that again. That's for sure.
What
I think
the?
Scotty may have
What's
stepped
going
away
on?
from his mic.
It's like Alien. We're all disappearing one by one.
Is there something wrong with my internet? Well, Scotty just came back. Hey, Scotty, I don't know what's going on, and we lost Captain.
At the same time, weird.
Yeah, PvP.
And oops.
Wow.
Hey,
Whoa.
I don't know
feel
what's
funky.
happening.
I've
Nope.
been slimed.
I'm looking at
Wait,
my internet's okay. It must be me because I'm hosting the stream or no?
Hang on, what time does your clock say? I've got 4:33. I think we've been moved in time.
Oh no,
33.
not chronometers.
Is that possible? You're on the half hour? If I'm on the hour? I guess it
Actually,
is.
in Mumbai, yes. One thing I learned going to Mumbai, India, the only place I've ever been that's half hour off everywhere else.
Oh, and Newfoundland is like that in Canada.
Oh,
Okay.
You know what happened? We started talking about Star Wars and the entire internet crashed because the Mandalorian season 3 trailer just dropped. We can't talk about Star Wars or they'll release another television show.
Oh, so people are going to be talking about the Mandalorian now. Oh God!
It starts on March 1st. Yep. What do we
Pedro
got?
Pascal in it? Do we get
No,
to see
I've
his
heard
helmet?
a lot. I've heard a lot of good stuff about the Mandalorian, though.
Yeah,
I
it stars
haven't
Gina
really-
Carano. It stars Gina Carano. I can't wait to see her in season 3. I'll be there, huh? Or do we get more? Do we get more cartoon Luke in it?
I don't think they gave everything away. They just showed, well, Grogu's back because, toys.
Right, because they realized that that's the only reason why people were tuning in, right?
I guess. I don't know why people were tuning in. I wasn't watching it, so.
Oh, I didn't watch it either. And what's funny is I tried to watch the first couple episodes.
Yeah,
and
me
it was
too. I
just-
got bored.
Yeah, it was very boring, and it was just the same repetitive plot over and over. But then after the end of there we are. Hello,
Hey,
welcome
guys.
back, PvP. Good
Yeah,
to
I
see
don't know
you
what
again.
happened there. I just went out in the kitchen for a minute and I came back and StreamYard had bloody crashed on me again.
Yeah, well, I lost you and Scotty and the captain, all three. I don't know why.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
what's going on.
Yeah, it's been acting up lately. That's like the third time just in the last 3 or 4 days where it's crashed like that.
So
That's
that means
crazy.
StreamYard. Come on, StreamYard programmers. Come on. do
Yeah,
your
so it's
job.
somewhere in
Do your
StreamYard.
fucking
That's
job.
definitely not good.
Yeah, they better hire Jill to do some investigating.
That's a good place to end, Eugene, says Resolute Germ. And Eugene says, I thought Q beamed Scotty R37 into a trial of some sort.
I am a child savage race.
The Court of Whimsy. Scotty R37, you're accused of being too whimsical. How do you plead?
Yeah, I could take it or leave it.
So I'm curious. I have a question for all you guys because, as you guys know, I'm more familiar with Star Trek TOS and the animated series, but everything after that, including TNG and especially with Q. My question
Me
is,
too. I've actually watched the TOS.
right? How many times do they come across god creatures? I mean, people that are just like gods. I mean, it
Do
just
Greek
seems-
gods
I mean,
count? That's one.
Plenty of times. I can't
yeah.
remember how many,
it's
but there's
old.
gotta be
Yeah,
a
I mean,
list.
it's such an old trope. I just can't. I mean, it's like it was getting old by the time we see it in TAS.
Yeah, it's
What
got to
does
be
Lord
one of
Ganesha need with a starship?
it's got to be one of the biggest tropes in Trek, really.
Well, it's one of the things that you're going to find when you trek through the stars is you're going to find races that are superior to humans.
Oh, of
it
course.
seems, yeah, just although, yeah, it is a bit of a trope that does
It's
get used. It's more few and far between in the Berman era.
Yeah, it's just that sometimes when it's not a particularly well written episode and they're just kind of relying on the trope as a crutch, it can be kind of a bit of a pain to watch.
Yeah. Like
Not that
Or
the
they-
one
Being
the
on the
ones
trope
they're all good
rises.
episodes too.
well, and then when you get to Deep Space Nine, like the wormhole aliens are god beings, so they're they're there all the time.
I never liked Voyager much anyway.
Voyager, when they go in the first episode, there's like the caretaker, which is a superior alien who's dying, but had been taking care of the Okampa. And so there's like a god race thing there. Next Generation, probably you see him like when Q doesn't show up. You probably see a god race once a season at least. Not so much in Enterprise, though. You don't see it that much in Enterprise.
Huh. What about?
Well, you just got to Paul's godlike belly button.
Well, exactly. T'Pol is the goddess in every episode.
Jill says, "LOL." From what Eugene said about to Scotty and Resolute, just in TNG, not a lot outside of Q.
Well, I was thinking of the Edo. I didn't want to bring it up because it's a Wesley episode, Prime Directive. But
hey, that's the best Wesley episode. The only thing that would have made it better if they would have followed through with it.
Justice. It was called Justice. Yeah, if Justice had been served, then it would have been great.
Yeah.
And then there's the Cytherian who makes, in the Nth Degree, who makes Barclay into a super being because they're lazy gods who bring the Enterprise to wherever their part of the galaxy is or the universe is.
Hey, what about that guy? What about that guy who destroyed the 50 billion people or 50 million people?
The Husnock.
With
Oh yeah.
flicker of a stock because they murdered.
I use million and billion synonymously. They're synonymous.
Kevin Uxbridge, the Dowd. He didn't kill one Husnock. He killed all the Husnock everywhere.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad early episode, actually.
Jill plays it at the beginning of every tea time.
And
Now
the Iconians were extinct at this time, but we do go we ran into a couple of Iconian transporters in their home world.
Mm-hmm. They're advanced, but I wouldn't say they're godlike, would you?
Well, they had transporters that went across light years. They had spread out all across the galaxy.
I guess then the debate is at which point you become godlike. Maybe if you don't need technology, you're a god, and if you make the technology, you're an advanced race. I don't know, just spitballing.
Yeah, but who's saying that? But then you got the debate. Well, what if they're just hiding all their advanced, to make it pure magical? Because what about that devil lady who appeared like she was
the devil? Yeah, but that was technology. It was all she was almost like a hot lady, Harry Mudd.
My kind of woman.
Yeah, without the mustache, of course.
Well, optional.
The word lady and Harry Mudd, those words together are a bit creepy.
Because of the mustache.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Harry in a dress now. It's not pretty.
Oh, that's you every morning thinking of Harry in a dress.
Okay, I actually, guys.
Boy.
Jill says Justice is a worse version of tonight's episode. What is she talking about? Which episode of what? Which Justice?
Justice being an episode of the first season of Star Trek Next Generation. And then comparing it to tonight's episode, Bem.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because
that's fair. Well, wait. No, I don't like Bem. I don't like Justice either. This is going to be a tough debate. I don't know who's going to win.
Well, because think about it, we had several times in the original series, and we got it at least a couple times in the TAS. Gene Roddenberry kept trying to push it several times, and when William Shatner threw it in Star Trek V, Gene Roddenberry was upset, thinking he stole it from him.
Yeah, but that's because Shatner had this ego thing where he liked to steal everybody's ideas to take credit for it.
Well, he's not very original.
That's why.
Oh my!
That's why we got the one of the intros the way it is because someone had it all written out the whole intro thing. Then he changed the words or something, or he added the words there so he could get half the royalties of it.
Wait, you're talking about Gene Roddenberry or William Shatner?
Roddenberry.
Oh yeah, we
I
had that
think
discussion. I think you could view it as well. He had to make a living kind of thing. Yeah, isn't it true? Nichelle Nichols had their and there's some lyrics, but then they weren't used. Is that what you're referring to?
I don't know.
Well, that's why-
Something about the intro got changed so that he could get half the
No,
royalties
well,
from
well,
the intro.
Yeah, there's unused lyrics.
Well, you're half right. The intro that had nothing to do with it. The intro they were modifying it. They had a few different versions, which I covered in an earlier episode of Jill's show. But what we're talking about with him getting writing credit so that he can get a paycheck is pretty much every time a writer handed a script in for Star Trek and said, "Here's my script," Gene Roddenberry says, well, "Here, give it to me." And Gene Roddenberry had to rewrite everything or add input to put his name on it so he would get part of the money. That's what happened. And like tonight's episode, for example, Bim apparently, which I don't want to say too much because I'm going to let Jill cover it, which I'm sure she will. This is another case where the author thought that Gene Roddenberry was taking the idea from him. Apparently, he says that he submitted this story, and Gene Roddenberry never called him back. And then next, you know, Gene Roddenberry came out with this. I think this is the one. Gene Roddenberry came out with it, and then never gave him credit. So it's happened before, and it'll happen again in the future, and obviously in Star Trek. But that's right. That's and also what obviously is we know the theme, the title song of Star Trek TOS was written and composed by Alexander Courage, and then Gene Roddenberry created lyrics at the last minute just so he can get half of the royalties. And there is a video on YouTube where a band is singing the song, and it does not sound very good. Another Derivative Jill says Devil's Due was a fun one. I think even Pop would like it. Devil's Due, is that TNG?
Yes.
That means I've seen it, Jill, but not since it's been broadcast. So I don't remember. I'd have to watch it again to remember. I do have TNG, the remastered, on my server. I just haven't got around to watching it.
Yeah. Devil's 2, that might be the one I was talking about there with that lady there who was taking over the planet.
Yeah, it was. Toops.
Resident Germ says Bim is a bit of a jackass. The aliens and Justice are okay. Bim, right? Well, what Bim does pretty much, he pretty much almost ruins their mission, but he does realize it at the end. But he pretty much got in the way and screwed them around. They could have all been destroyed because of Bim, right?
I'm with Resolute Germ.
I got issues with Bim.
I've just got issues.
Well, I thought was interesting is apparently the writer originally wrote this for the first season and it was turned down. And I'm wondering, did they have the colony creature as part of the plot where he could divide himself into different parts? I doubt that. There's no way they could have showed that with the technology of TOS. So I'm wondering if they added that for the animated show. I don't know. Maybe Jill might spread a little more light on that one.
It's a good question. Because that was one of the things that I was kind of excited for with this episode, and I don't want to get too deep into it. But again, the things that you can do in animation that you can't do in live action.
Oh, yeah.
I did like, that was one thing that made me laugh. I did like where Bim set the coordinates for them to beam down, and half of them, Kirk and Spock appeared above the water instead of on the cliff, and they fell into the water. I thought that was funny because I'd always wondered if something like that was ever possible. Because we've seen people, like tomorrow, we're going to cover Tomorrow Was Yesterday, and we've seen people that, for example, the captain of the jet fighter is in a sitting position, but when they beam him on board, he's in a standing position. So I've always wondered how that happens, or what if somebody's beamed into the wrong level of something. So I'm glad Vim showed that at least. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be exciting tomorrow. And I'm currently rewatching a lot of 70s TV, Six Million Dollar Man and Chips and stuff like that. And it's funny how they got
John Punch, the other guy, brilliant.
And- Right.
Highway Patrol.
And
Florida memories.
the guy who plays in tomorrow's episode as the captain of the jet fighter. It's funny because he plays the bad guy in a lot of those 70s shows.
Really?
Yes, he
That's
does.
cool.
He was the one I was mentioning the other week. I mixed him up when I was telling you that he was on the $6 Million Man. It was him. It was not Roger Corby. It was the captain of the
Okay.
jet fighter, right? Who was playing a bad guy. He pops up as a bad guy a lot of times. In fact, I've noticed that the episodes he pops up on the $6 Million Man are written by DC Fontana. So I'm wondering maybe if she helps him get the role somehow.
Could be.
Here's an interesting fact. I've been thinking about this. I need to get the video clip, which I will do. I think I'll do it. I'll try to have it as part of, maybe tomorrow I can share it with you guys on Jill's stream. But I was watching an episode of Chips where these guys were robbing tourist buses. And they're driving down, they're in Hollywood, and they're driving, and they pass by Grauman's Chinese Theater. And the guy points towards the theater and says, "Look," because there's a bus parked out front. And right there on the marquee for Grauman's Chinese Theater is Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Right, so it's cool because that tells you right when they filmed that episode, pretty much. And you can see the line of people outside, and it says Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And I thought, wow, that's cool. And then within the episode, somebody calls Ponch and John, the cops, whatever. They call for backup. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but another one of the regular he was like a co-star in Chips. He was a background character, but he was prominent in seasons 2 through 3 so far that I've seen. Michael Dorn as a highway patrol officer.
Oh,
I
really?
knew that was one of his early roles. Yeah.
Was he in a lot of episodes? Or?
So far, I'm on season 3, I believe, and he's in almost every one of them.
Wow. Yeah,
There
because
was
I never watched much of Chips. I'll have to check that out. That sounds
Yeah,
really
there was a
cool.
different black man that kind of in the background in seasons 1 and I think 2.
Okay.
And Dorn shows up in I think 3, and I haven't gotten clear to the end of the show. But it was just interesting because basically, right, they're hijacking a bus right in front of Grauman's that's premiering Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And when they call for backup, one of the cops is Michael Dorn. And I thought, oh, that's kind of fascinating.
Cool.
Strange
Kind of a
coincidence,
strange
right?
coincidence, yeah. Wow, that's great. I'll have to check that out. I didn't realize he was in anything back at that time.
Yeah, I'll get the audio clip. He's really young there. But that's a testament that he must be fairly old now. I'm guessing 70s.
He's got to be getting up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the numbers tend to go up every year. That's time.
Unfortunately, right. We don't get any
Yeah,
younger.
unfortunately.
Youth is wasted on the young.
And Jill says almost there. And Eugene says thought-provoking. But yeah, that's what made me think about it, though, because even this episode of Ben has a godlike creature in it that's apparently watching over this planet, which we'll see when we cover it. But that's what made me think about it. It's like, well, how many episodes do we get where it has a godlike creature? Even the episode, I mean, wasn't that a godlike creature in the TOS episode Metamorphosis, the one that had
Kind of.
Stefan
Is that
So
Andrews?
he evolved into a godlike creature, if I'm remembering the episode right.
Well,
Well,
it's
Madam
not technically true, but you could argue Sibby on the Edge of Forever, Edith, as played by Joan Collins, is a fucking goddess. Am I right?
For a different reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. No divine powers as such, apart from to
That's
beguile.
right. That's funny how she went from Edith Keeler to a nasty bitch on Falcon Crest. It was like, okay, that's. But that
Well,
shows her range as an actress. I give
yeah,
her
it's
credit for
good.
that. Very beautiful
guess-
woman.
The companion in Metamorphosis, though, was an alien species, but I don't know how godlike it was, because it couldn't even leave the planet. Remember?
I don't think so.
because at first it didn't. They thought maybe they could leave the planet when it joined with the female character. I forget her name. Uh, but then basically once the companion had merged, with the human, it was like, I can't leave. This is like, where the source of my life comes from, and this is the planet. So that's when they stayed together.
It's funny. It almost sounds like we're talking about the motion picture.
It does have similarities in that relationship, I suppose. It's kind of a cross.
Right, where you have
Sure.
ethereal being merging with a human being, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
Now, I
Yeah.
got a question. Would you guys consider the founders godlike?
No.
The founders of what? Kentucky Fried
The
Chicken?
Dominion. The Dominion. The leaders of the Dominion are called the founders. No, I wouldn't
don't know
say
what
so.
that is.
Just because they're more about their shape-shifting powers are just innate to their species. Aside from that, they've just learned not to trust all solids, so they kind of just expand through the universe, subjecting solids to their will. So they're just a large number of people who have taken over the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah, they're
now-
very, very xenophobic.
When you say Dominion, are you guys talking about DS9? Is that right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what season of that are they introduced?
3 and 3.
Well,
Beginning
well,
three?
no. Well, here's the beautiful thing with DS9. We heard snippets of it all the way back in the beginning of season 2. Snippets. We kept hearing because the Kremlin were part of the Dominion, and we kept hearing snippets of the Dominion in season 2, but we didn't actually get introduced to the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta until the episode Shem'Hadar in season 3.
Right.
Oh, isn't that coincidentally when people say DS9 started getting good with season 3 or no?
See, it was still inconsistent. I think season 4 for me was when it took off, when they brought Worf in, because Worf just gave it something extra that the show seemed to be lacking. I mean, he's such a good character, and they used him well. They used him better in DS9 than they did in TNG. That's for sure.
I think TNG was mostly background, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a secondary character. I would say. Yeah,
Yeah,
he became more prominent.
He had story arcs.
Well,
I know
the Klingon War,
sometimes-
yeah.
Sometimes on TNG, it seemed like they made him the butt of jokes a lot.
Well, there is that old meme. In an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, you find out how tough an alien is by throwing Worf at them so that they can beat up Worf. And that was very much what happened in the first 2 seasons. Actually, it happened consistently throughout. It was like, how bad is our alien of the week? Well, can he beat up Worf? Oh, yeah.
So I guess they established Worf is not a very good fighter.
He would. No, he was a good fighter. It's just when it was a plot device. It's kind of like in Deep Space Nine, whenever there are episodes that are specifically made for Chief O'Brien to suffer PTSD. horrible torture episodes. And it's the same thing
Now
with
you're
Worf.
giving out every single episode.
Doesn't that get old after a while?
No, because Cole Meany is a really good actor, so seeing him suffer is kind of, oh, I hope he gets over it.
Okay, enjoyable.
Yeah, he generally
You
pulled
root
it off
for
quite
him.
well. Yeah,
You root for the guy.
he is a
Yeah.
likable actor for sure.
Then you feel bad for him in that one episode where he got tortured in the prison for 20 years.
Yeah. And it only lasted, what, a day?
The episode.
Yeah, no.
After-
Like he's like implanted the memory of having done hard time for 20 years.
3 hours. 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, and he kept getting these memories for over 20 years. So he thinks he was in that prison for 20 years. He kept getting these memories.
Isn't that similar to the?
His
Go ahead.
PTSD ended by the next episode, though. After Bashir took the phaser away from him.
Isn't that similar to the plot line where Picard had a wife and family for like a whole lifetime, and then it was only happened within a day or something?
Well, that one lasted 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was just a short bit of time,
Yeah.
like minutes.
33.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
is similar. You're right.
Yeah, it is similar. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
That was Inner Light, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember that it was. I remember the general structure of the episode. It's hard to remember. Like I said, the last time I saw TNG was when they premiered, and as far as reruns, I don't remember ever going back and watching the reruns. If
Yeah,
they would make fan edits where they would cut out the subplots, I would be there. I'd be there.
yeah, subplots. That's quite a problem with Trek at times.
Yeah. So that's what's sad is in a lot of the episodes. I remember the subplots, not the main plots, because it seemed like they delved 80% of the episodes into the subplots and 20% into the main plot, and I don't know, it blurred the line and I lost count.
Yeah, even DS9 did that sometimes, unfortunately.
Eugene Bird says putting Bortus in Orville seemed to say that Dorn's character made an impression on the Orville writers.
For sure.
You think Bortus was like Worf, I guess?
Yes, I do.
Now,
he's
here's
a
a
similar kind of
question,
character.
though. Oh, since we're talking about Bortus here, I got a question. Where did that egg come out of?
Well, he sat on it, so that
His
tells you.
mouth.
I mean, it's an all-male species.
Oh.
So where did the egg come from?
Okay, everybody,
I
we
wonder
all
if
need
there's anything like a chicken, it'll be his butthole.
everybody send your send your prayers to Jill. Jill just got the blue screen of death.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh,
So
Jill.
maybe we should.
Roll
sorry.
down the windows.
So maybe we should move this review up to next week. Then maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. If that's okay with you guys, I don't mind.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I would change the title of the stream to Rumblings and Musings from the Lab, so that people on the rewatch don't get confused. Like, where's our? Like, just change this into a Rumblings.
I
It's a
agree.
retrospective rumblings.
Thank you, Gorilla. Let me do that. Okay, now it's Rumblings from the Lab. There you go. And I will change the
Yay.
description. Do I have to wait for this to end before I can change the description and
Actually,
StreamYard?
yes.
No,
Actually,
no. Open
Jill's-
up a.
No?
Jill's typed in the chat here that she's still trying. You know, if you want to, give her a little more time.
No,
Quick,
Jill.
change it back.
No, but yeah, but here's what it is, Jill, and I'm not trying to rush Jill in any way, Jill. I understand it's a dire situation. It's just that I know that a lot of people have schedules where they can't really stream very late, and I don't want to have to cut the. I don't once this even if the stream does eventually start, we won't have time to go in and dissect it like we usually do, and I want to be able to spend time on it where we're not rushed.
Yeah,
And I don't mind waiting another week because we've only got a handful of episodes left. So,
Yeah.
True.
it's
Plus,
okay
I
with me
did-
if it's
Or
okay
it's
with you
another
guys.
week.
Yeah, because I do gotta get up a little bit earlier tomorrow. So, because I got the bus coming to pick me up. So,
Oh, well, I hope you get that truck fixed because that's not good.
well, see, the problem is that you got
Oh my.
the designers of the vehicles that they design up and go, hey, I want it to look like this. You go, well, we can't do this. Is it possible? Though they just tell them to make it work instead of trying to work out a reasonable sketch, Because
course.
we had this with Bird the other day. I might have accidentally offended him a little bit on I can't remember whose stream was I on with Vile Mike's stream. That's what it was. I may have said I said something about engineers, and he went on the defense for engineers, but it's like because the engineers and the designers don't work together, The designers design something, they tell the engineers to make it work. So therefore, then you get designs like stuff where they put a electrical relay box where all the rain and snow and mud and all get kicked into it, corroding the relays. Then you have to spend $1,800 replacing it.
Oh, that's not good at all. Yeah. And Lemon Pie says, "Oh my, Jill." And Jill says, "I'm still trying though." I know, Jill. We know you are.
Yeah.
But like I said, Jill, we're not trying to rush you. And
Tenacious
LOL,
Jill.
Yeah, we're having
Hey.
a fun conversation up here.
right?
Yeah.
And Jill's still able to enjoy it with us. I'm guessing she's on her phone. And Jill
Yeah.
says, okay. And PvP says, sorry to hear you're having such difficult computer issues, Jill. Yeah, we're really sorry, Jill, but we do understand. We have all been in that same boat at one time or another. And Jill says those Delta 3 aliens don't like us interfering with their children.
Delta
And
3. Which franchise is that?
I don't remember. I need a hardcore fan like Jill to tell me.
Oh,
And
come
I'm
on,
only.
Scotty, speak up.
Is it TOS? Because then I should be shame on me if it's TOS. I should know that.
What was the question?
Delta 3 aliens. What franchise?
Jill's quote here says those Delta 3 aliens don't like us interfering with their children.
Delta 3.
Would that be the alien in the BIM episode then?
I just remember Delta
Oh, that makes
from
sense.
Because she referred to them as her children, right?
That's true too.
Oh,
from
okay.
BEM. From BEM. Okay, gotcha.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
She's probably right. I forgot the name of the planet. She's probably right. I just think Delta, and I thought of Lieutenant Ilea from the motion picture.
Wasn't
So
she was a was she a deltoid? I knew it started
Delta.
with the Delton. Okay.
Well, Delta. She was a Delta, but I remember they said she was Deltan.
Yes.
Okay.
If that makes
For
any
some
sense.
reason, I think Ilea's
Yeah.
planet. I think the Deltans come from Delta Prime. For some reason, that thing. Let me find out. I'll
Hey,
take a look.
Scotty. When in doubt, the only species in Star Trek, except for the Klingons, is the humans come from a differently named planet. Otherwise, it's Cardassia Prime. The Bajorans come from Bajor. The Trill come from Trill Prime. The Rigelians come from Rigel.
Yeah,
the Romulans
true.
come from Romulus.
Ferengi come from Ferenginar.
Yeah. The
Ferenginar is the name?
Talaxians come from Talaxia.
Yes, and Jill says
Vulcans
that's
come
correct.
from
She says,
Vulcan.
Jill says that's correct. Those are the godlike aliens from this episode, voiced by Nichelle Nichols. That is.
That tells you our thoughts on this episode when we didn't even remember that on the day we're reviewing it.
Oh, the
I
Deltans.
know I feel terrible.
Deltans
I
are
don't.
from Delta 4. So I guess right next door to this place.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, but they're completely different species.
Yeah. Well, yeah, different planet too.
And yeah, okay, good. Okay, I read that one. Because if anything, I would say these aliens from this episode were closer like the Gorn. They looked almost like lizards, I guess, or reptiles.
Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
Did any of you guys know if the Horta ever popped up in future iterations of Star Trek or no?
I know that there's one in book form, but I don't know in terms of on screen.
They might have gotten casually mentioned in Lower Decks as a member berry.
And Deep Space Nine, I think Cisco does mention a Horta at one point on Deep Space Nine.
Do you know in the book form if it was like a crew member?
Yes, in it's the book Spock's World. There is a Horta who is like an engineer, and the way that they're really good at doing things, like with the command consoles and buttons and stuff, is that they actually seep into the workings of the computer console, and they are really, really fast on the computers. And then they have a universal translator, and one is in the captain's seat under the supervision of Spock, and Kirk goes to the captain's seat, and the Horta gets out of the seat, and Kirk thinks to himself that he always enjoys getting into a seat after a Horta has been there because it's always very warm.
I'm sure it is, considering they put off acid.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And Eugene says, if you met Patrick Stewart at a Trek convention, what would you say or ask him? You guys don't want my answer, but I'll let you guys answer that.
I wouldn't.
Why are you still here? That's what I'd say.
I wouldn't even talk to the guy. But then again, and for a completely different reason than I wouldn't talk to Shatner. Like I wouldn't talk to Shatner. I'd be too nervous to talk to Shatner, and I have no interest in talking to Patrick Stewart.
I would at least say to Shatner, of course, after getting up off the floor and stop crying, I said, "It's nice to meet you, and I appreciate what you've done. Um, without you, we'd have no Star Trek." I'd at least say something like that, compliment him on his career.
Oh,
I don't
for
know if
sure.
I could come up with an original question that's not going to irritate him. And Picard, I would just say, "Are you really that desperate for the money? I mean, come on."
Well,
That's
the thing with Patrick Stewart though, he has a lot of influence on that show, so it's reflecting his worldview.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. That's why and his worldview matches up perfectly with the agenda of the writers and the producers of that show, which goes to show you, right? And I think you guys are going to find it's going to be the same with the rest of the TNG cast when that new season starts. I guess we'll find out from Scotty and Jill.
Exactly. We are your men in the field.
Now, if I beat you to it,
Oh, you can do what you do. You can join us if you want.
What days is it?
Thursdays.
Thursdays at what time?
If I'm not mistaken, I have to find out when it airs here because I'm watching it on terrestrial, and I think it starts at 9, so it'll probably be about 10:05 Eastern.
That'd be 11 o'clock Central. How long does it usually
No,
go?
it'd be 9 o'clock Central.
You said 9 o'clock Eastern.
I know I said 10. I said for me it airs at 9 o'clock, so I would watch the episode.
I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards on times. Okay, so be 9 o'clock Eastern. How long do you usually review?
It'll be one episode, and it depends on what me and Jill say, or what any of us say. It depends on the episode, but usually when we go, it's about an hour and a half.
I could do that.
Are you doing it as a watch party, Scotty, or
no? No, because I can't. I don't even have access to it to watch on my computer. I'm watching it on cable.
Well, Scotty, I can fix that for you.
Well, man.
Off screen, I can fix it for that.
But for me, yeah, if it's a possibility that we can watch it earlier, but I know also Jill's she likes to start at around 10:30, just so that she has time to put the little ones down.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do a watch party, I would sign up for that if possible.
The tough part about Star Trek Patrick Stewart season 3 is that I think a lot of people, and myself included, I am cautiously optimistic, but I am afraid it's going to suck. But I trust the opinion of the guy who said that it doesn't. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be like pulling teeth to get people to watch it, if it even remotely. Because I know that you guys are pushing back against it already, and I'm waiting to see it.
I'd be willing to watch it with an open mind, though.
Hey, Scotty, I haven't pushed back against it.
Okay.
I
know, and Jill has. Jill has, and Pop Culture has. And I don't think I'm telling tales out of school there.
I don't push back against it. I just have total indifference. I don't care anymore. So they can do whatever they want. I don't care. I was never a fan of TG in the first place, so I don't have anything to lose.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more curious than anything else. I mean,
yeah,
it might very well suck, but hey, if it's got any good qualities, I'd be willing to take a look at it.
And Sky, you know me, I'd like to try to defend stuff if I can. If you see my defense of Thursdays, there's only one movie there. I'm pretty sure I was having a bad day that day, and I went off on it.
Hey, that's my favorite movie now.
Hey, now when you explained it there, I watched it wrong. Because I was sober, I watched it by myself.
What movie?
There you go. The Microwave Massacre.
Oh, right.
Oh, gee, just the title of that. Oh, man.
Lemon Pie says, but Klingons are from...
Kling.
I said it with the exception of Klingons. I said with the exception.
But Gorilla, you remember in Code of Honor in the first season, they do refer to the Klingon homeworld as being called Kling.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, in all fairness, then the Klingons are part of the Federation. If we're going by that logic, because Westlake said that they were that the Klingons were part of the Federation.
What episode does he say that in? I'd love to check it out.
Can you help our ship go? Our ship's broken. Can you help our ship? That'd be Sumerians there.
But wait
Right.
a minute. I thought, wasn't there a different name in the episode in TNG where Picard and Worf went to the home planet of Klingon because Picard was going to defend Worf's honor and fight some guy, and they used a stuntman instead wearing a robe? What episode was that? And what was the name of the planet?
That
Kronos.
was yeah, and that was he was his Shintaka or Shintarka or something like that. I can't remember what, or Shidich, that's what it was.
Right, he was like standing beside Worf, basically in a supporting role, was he not?
Well, the stuntman, Picard was just a cameo in that, pretty much. But so that wasn't supposed to be the Klingon homeworld.
That was the Klingon homeworld.
Yeah, that was.
It went to the High Council.
They changed the name of the episode, or the name of the planet after that one episode. Code of Honor. I don't think it was Code of Honor. Maybe it was called A Matter of Honor. It's the one where the two Klingons try and take over the Enterprise in the first season of Next Generation. It wasn't Code of Honor because Code of Honor is no vaccine. But yeah, I forget what the one is. A Matter of Honor. It's a Klingon episode, so it's called something with honor.
Just Google it real quick. Put the description in the Google.
So that wasn't one of the Klingon Civil War episodes, then, Scotty?
No, it wasn't. No, this was
too early.
Yeah, because that doesn't show up until season 4.
They found a Klingon transport ship and they beamed them over.
Where do we go?
There's Scotty, I got some trivia for you.
Sure.
I guess when Gene Kuhn
go ahead,
created the Klingons, you didn't think about that. That's all I was going to say.
Heart of Glory is the name of the episode.
All right.
Glory, honor.
All right, Scott. All right, Scotty.
Yes, sir.
What was Sela's first episode?
Oh, The Mind's Eye. You don't see her on camera, but you see her silhouette. And the first time that she shows up, first time she shows up on camera is is it Redemption Part 1? End of Redemption Part 1?
No. Yeah, maybe. That wasn't the Klingons. Damn it! I thought. Okay, so apparently someone other than John knows that damn trivia, so I can't argue with them next time I see him.
Well, Jill says that she will never watch Code of Honor again.
That makes sense.
I defended
that bad, huh?
I defended that episode.
For what reasons? What was good about it? Hello.
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember. That was like 6 months ago. What did I say about it? That was one of the.
You turned it from an F to an A, and you don't remember how?
No. It was. It got picked for when I was defending bad episodes for defensive and bad movies for Defensive Thursday.
Right.
I said a couple good things, I think I was saying like, well, they claim this is racist, but do they claim like the Irish episodes are racist? When they make the Irish people all stand out and do Irish accents and that, but those are racist,
right?
I remember like that one. Oh,
that's a couple of episodes there. Like you could tell Cole Meany had a lot more pull in DS9 there they did in TNG because he had to put up with that whole Irish thing when he beamed those Irish people on board. But they were gonna make during that one episode where all those when they're whatever they're thinking at the moment, those appeared in the Rumpelstiltskin episode. That was originally supposed to be a leprechaun, but Cole Meany said he was gonna walk if they made it a leprechaun there because so they changed it to Rumpelstiltskin.
I remember
that.
Yeah.
I think I went along the lines of the like that. There's a lot of it, but people call out Code of Honor for being racist, but not the other ones.
Yeah, there were some incredibly bad episodes of of that show, man.
The good outweighed the bad, though, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I'd say overall, but
Well,
still, there
Stokely
might
says
be a
the Irish lady was hot.
She was. Where can a lady wash her feet? And then I think Riker sexes her.
Well, that's any alien.
That's true.
That's like
He is a bit of a horn dog.
like, oh, you want passage on the ship? Well, just come this way to my quarters.
Well, and he even openly says that after he gets hot and bothered, he's like, "I'll be in holodeck 3," and it's like, oh, gross.
You know,
for
I would
cleanup.
love. You know, I would love to be part of Starfleet, but knowing my luck, my job would be clean the holodeck after Riker gets done using it.
Ugh.
Oh jeez.
We already know that's what Quark's hollow suites are used for because they flat out say it.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they hear Jake goes to the hollow suite, he goes, "You let him inside Quark's hollow suites?" Which I'm pretty sure Quark would let him use some of his special programs.
So there's a hollow suite on DS9.
Oh yeah.
I
don't think we ever see it much, though, do we?
The whole
Yeah,
suite?
we see.
On DS9, I don't think there's too many episodes with it.
Oh, for
Well,
sure, dude. With Vic Fontaine and.
Oh right, okay.
yeah.
We haven't got to those yet. Then okay.
No, there's like a season and a half at least of episodes where they're doing something in the holodeck.
Yeah,
whether
that's later
it's
though.
whether it's Worf doing calisthenics, they're playing baseball. You know,
Well, even now with the episodes that you guys are watching on clobbering times for Saturday Night Star Trek, the last few that I caught a bit of 2 of them on Saturday, and they're all about the burgeoning relationship between O'Brien and Bashir becoming besties, and they're going to the holodeck or holosuites.
Oh yeah, but they didn't actually show them in the holosuite, is what I'm saying.
No, but they do later on. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I guess
I was even talking about them being in the holosuite.
Yeah. Oh,
well, that was later seasons, really though, wasn't it? When that became more prominent.
7.
Okay.
But then you had then you had the couple James Bonds ones. Worf's always exercising in there. He had his honeymoon in the hollow suite there.
That's where they play racquetball.
Yeah, and they play baseball in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
So there's quite a few episodes.
Worf fighting that skull-like creature, skeletal thing.
Well, even they even had ones where he's just in there practicing, and like Martok comes in to tell him we're going to get Jadzia into Tovacor, but then there's another time where Jadzia the reason Worf and Jadzia actually did it in the hollow suite because she comes in there to challenge him because she wasn't giving him because he wasn't giving her a time of day or something. And then they ended up doing it on the hollow suite floor.
Oh, how nice and romantic.
Because Bashir had to patch him up.
Eugene Burt says, LOL. My question for you guys, because the reason why I asked this is, of course, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, but I got tired of the holodeck episodes really quick in TNG. Did you guys ever get tired of the holodeck episodes in the other series or any of them, or no? Did you guys like that?
No. They had that Irish Salmon and Voyager. Like, I could have done without them, you know? Like, they're still good, but, like, I could have done without them. But otherwise, most of them I thought were pretty enjoyable. I like the holodeck. It's a good tool to have, you know? And then they have something where they don't have to go to a planet, but they get off the ship. They're getting off the ship without actually having to be at a planet.
Oh no, I understand the reason why they added the holodeck to the show. It's just that I don't know. I just thought I didn't like the. I'm trying to remember now the episodes. I'm talking strictly TNG here. I didn't like where Data was Sherlock Holmes. I didn't like that. I didn't like where I think it was in the movies where I can't remember. There was one where I think Picard was Richard Dixon or something like that. As
Oh,
a
Dixon
detective,
Hill.
I think.
Dixon Hill.
Dixon Hill.
Dixon
Yeah,
Hill.
I didn't. Yeah, just and then they would meet women and date women and in bars and stuff. It seemed to get really old. I don't know. I guess that's just me.
Yeah, I didn't mind them. I remember, what was that one, A Fistful of Datas, where they did the
Yeah.
Western thing? I thought that was kind of fun. You know,
Lemon
I
By
think
the way-
DS9 did it better, though. I think probably some of the stories were a little
Yeah,
more interesting.
Yeah, especially remember the Cole Meany character. I can't remember his name or off the top of the. It's the one Cole Meany character nobody really remembers the name of, but he was having Cork make him a special holodeck program with just Major Kira there. Yeah, there it's one of his special programs, and Cork the whole story. Cork's trying to get a good picture with a holo camera to make the program for him. And he couldn't get a good picture, good picture. Well, finally, he just accessed the files at the episode, and they find out that that Cork accessed them. So they went and changed the program on it. So when he went to go see it, he goes, "I think you'll be very happy." So he goes into there. It's all the sweet, romantic, low music. You got the flowers and all that, real sensual and that. And he rolls over, and it's just Cork going, "Kiss me, baby." It was funny.
Yeah, I remember the reveal of Quark. That was funny.
Lemon Pie says Rocker put
Yeah.
on some Color Me Bad. And Anna Drew
Oh,
Reveal
yeah.
says Up the Long Ladder was awful too.
Definitely agree with
Which
Jill
one
on
was
that one.
up the long ladder? Which one was that again?
That
What
was the
series
Irish
was that?
one, wasn't it?
TNG season 2. It's the one where they go to the planet. There's 2 planets. One is the agricultural people represented by the Irish, and then the other planet is the cloners. Everybody's clones, and they steal
Okay.
Dr. Pulaski and Riker's genetic material to make new clones
Oh,
because
boy.
the existing clones, their genetic makeup is breaking down in their society.
I felt so sorry for the actress that played
Oh, I
Dr.
remember. That's
Pulaski. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that's the one that Cole Meany had a problem with, but he didn't have enough clout there to say no, no, f you on this. He didn't have enough power on that show there because he had to just sit there and put up with the Irish stereotypes and that.
So they had aliens that were supposed to be Irish. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, no, they're they're human colonists.
They're human colonists.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they're from Ireland here on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they headed to the FICO sector.
Gotcha. Scogli says Quark owns the Holosuites, and they are absolutely mostly a brothel.
Yes.
Quark
That's
owns
true.
them.
Yes.
Yes.
And Scogli says Quark, he's just correcting his spelling. And Scogli says he was not making that program for O'Brien. It was some random alien douchebag.
No,
No,
I
I
think
didn't say it
Gorilla
was-
misspoke. You said it was a rare Cole Meany performance. Actually, I think you were thinking of
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Jeffrey Combs. It's the one Jeffrey Combs character that nobody remembers. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head.
Herbert
Herbie
West.
With an F, I believe.
Herbert West.
Phil.
I'm sorry, I'm just joking. This is a character
No.
from the Reanimator. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I can't remember his name. It's like nobody remembers his name. That's why it's like, that's like if you get question someone was there on trivia, that's the one question you want to give them.
Now, am I wrong? But didn't Jeffrey Combs play an Andorian?
Yes, Shran in Enterprise.
He played like 6 different
They're
characters.
the blue ones, right?
Yes.
Yes. He
With
played
the
like
antenna.
6 different. He played like 6
So
different.
do they come from the planet
characters.
Andor?
Andorian Andor.
Yeah, Andoria's the gas giant, but they're from the moon Andor.
Ah, like Endor.
Yeah. So now Scotty, would you count Wayoon as one or we count all his clones as one?
That's interesting. That's an interesting definition. I think that they are all separate characters, even if they're clones of each other.
Okay.
And the name of the holosuite super creep from the episode Meridian is named Tyron. Tyron.
Oh, Tyron. Okay. Yep.
And Scogli says it was a human colony.
Yep. In Up the Long Ladder. Yeah.
I do remember that. Were they dressed in rags?
The Irish people. There was a drunk Irishman with a bowler hat.
Oh, they even had the bowler hat. How nice.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Yeah,
very quaint.
Yeah, he said the whiskey wasn't strong enough, so Worf gave him I'm guessing the Klingon version of wine cooler to him. He's like, that's amazing strong stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
you
pretty
gotta
sure
wonder.
I bet
Oh,
you
go ahead, Grilla.
I bet you that drink that Worf gave him was like me going and grabbing a wine cooler.
You do have to
like
wonder
wine
though,
coolers.
why
It's
Yeah.
stuff.
you got to wonder why a bunch of people, in the distant future would still, be so stereotypically Irish. Like, it's not like Irish people are like that even now, to that extent.
That's a testament to the writers and lack of imagination, I'm guessing.
Yeah, very poor writing.
They had to make them stick out and let people know they are originally Irish.
I'm surprised they didn't just put name tags on them. Scogli says
All they
only
need to
one
do-
of them behaved a little bit differently. Is that right, you guys?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it so long. I just remember it was just
Then
bloody
also-
awful stereotypes.
Oh yeah. And yeah, people, but that's not the one that people complain about being racist.
Yeah,
And
the
that's
only
my whole
episode,
point of it.
now that I think about it, the only TNG episode I have rewatched is one with Scotty. I did see that again
That's
because
a
I
good-
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That's
great
all
It did
episode.
make sense because they sent Scotty at the end. They send him off into space saying good luck and they give him a short range shuttle. Where's the guy going?
Closest
Crashing back
colony or
down on the
closest
Dyson
outpost?
Spear.
Back to the Dyson
no,
Sphere.
Yeah, back to the Dyson Spear.
And considering the shuttle, though, they earlier in season 2, I think they go far in those short range shuttles. Like they could be like 2 or 3 day long trips.
Yeah, which would take them about 8 seconds in a day if they just go by warp 8 with Enterprise. Because remember Sumerian Snare, they took the shuttle to the starbase for trying to get that heart transplant.
Yep.
Now
The shuttles can go warp 8.
no, they went warp 2. They could go like
Okay.
warp 2.
All right.
And they said it'll take them 6 hours to get to the starbase from here. But if you did the calculations if the Enterprise would have just gone warp 8, they could have been at the starbase in like 30 seconds. It will have taken them longer to pack their bags than it will have taken to get there. They would have just gone warp 8. 30 seconds.
So, what say you, Captain? What do you think? Would you agree with that or disagree?
About what? Warp 8?
About what Gorilla just said.
What? Sorry, I zoned out. I was busy doing something. What's the question?
That's quite all right. I was just
All
wondering
right.
if you were still there.
Yeah, you
Alright,
got me.
well-
What's the question?
You remember Sumerian Snare, don't you?
No, that's why I've
The
just
one
got
where-
me up to.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
lost.
the
I'm
one
in the reads. I
with
don't know what's going on.
the pack
Is it in
lizard,
time travel?
but well, it involves warp speeds.
Okay.
So, okay, so in Sumerian Snare, they take Picard and Wesley take a shuttlecraft to the starbase there, so Picard can get a transplant. They
But
said
shuttles
it was
aren't
gonna take
capable
up.
of warp speed, so that's internally
Yes.
inconsistent. Is
No,
that
they
the
are.
point?
They're capable of warp.
Wait.
Are they?
Oh wait,
Unlike
so
TIE
it's
fighters.
impulse speed. So it's impulse speed. Then it'd take them 6 hours to get to that
I thought
starbase.
impulse speed is like when you spontaneously want to go somewhere.
Warp
Impulse-
1's
no,
the speed of
no.
light. Is that correct, according to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, in real life,
Yes.
you can't actually go faster than light
Yes,
travel.
and
So it's
impulse-
not very realistic.
Yeah. So anyhow, out. Maybe it was impulse. It's going to take them 6 hours to get to the starbase. But if the Enterprise would have just gone warp eight there, they could have made it to that starbase there in 30 seconds. It will take them longer to pack their bags than it would have to just get there and drop them off.
Yeah, but it was also a matter of discretion as well, because Picard didn't want the rest of the crew to know that he had to go to the starbase to get the transplant.
Yeah, but everybody knew he was going to a starbase. They didn't have to tell him why he was going to. He just goes. He has important business, or he has important business at the starbase that cannot wait. For all they know, the Romulans could be gearing up to attack them, and they're briefing Picard on the situation. They didn't want over the subspace radio. That, for all they know, that could be running through people's minds. They didn't have to tell him why he was going to the starbase. Just said he had an important appointment at the starbase that needed to be dealt with now.
That is another way that he could have handled it, but in the context of the television show, he decided to take the young ensign and just fly with the shuttlecraft. Just a different way of doing things, and he had captain's prerogative.
And I want to mention that Scogli says only one of them behaved a little bit differently, which I read before. Scogli says they left Earth hundreds of years ago and lived in isolation. I'm guessing he means the Irish people.
Yes. Well, and the cloners as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And I River Jill says love relics, but yeah, they should have given him a better ship and crew. Well, I don't know if they're going to give him a crew because it would have been a one-way trip, right? Because he wasn't planning on coming back, I'm guessing. But
Yeah,
Scogli
one-way
says,
trip back into the nightmare.
did he mention at the end of that episode
sorry,
where
go
he was
ahead.
going, or did he just say out there, wherever? I'm just going wherever. Did he say where he was going at the end of that?
He was going to a retirement colony. I know he's on his
Well-
way to a retirement colony.
When he crashed, he was on his way to the Norpin colony, which is a retirement colony. And they said, so are you going to go to the Norpin colony? And he's like, eventually, but not yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Scogli says full impulse is half the speed of light. Is that right?
I thought full impulse is the speed of light.
I thought warp 1 is the speed of light. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's see.
Yeah, I thought I heard that warp 1 was the speed of light, but I could be wrong.
I think it depends on the ship, because I know full impulse.
No, it wouldn't depend on the ship. No, it wouldn't depend on the ship. It's one. It's got to be one
I
thing.
know
or another.
confusion.
full impulse is faster than the impulse for because they mentioned that. They said our impulse engines are faster than their impulse engines.
Well, apparently, where is it according to?
Go ahead, Scotty.
Well, according to Screen Rant, if you're okay with that. Oh no, Memory Alpha says the warp 1 is the speed of light.
Okay, so I'm guessing I could be wrong. So I'm guessing like full impulse power is, what do you guys think? It's a half speed of light, 3/4 speed of light. So what's half impulse power and a quarter impulse power? I guess I'm sure, did they ever break that down in Star Trek lore?
It's shifted around a bunch, because the speed, like the warp factors in Next Generation, are faster than the warp factors in the original series, which is why you can get to warp 13 in the original series, which I think happens in What Are Little Girls? No, not in By Any Other Name.
Well, doesn't warp itself, the speed itself, stay the same? The ships get faster, and the warp number goes higher, like warp 13, 14,
Yeah,
15,
because otherwise
16,
it's
or
like
no?
saying my 100 miles an hour is faster than your 100 miles an hour. It just
Right. It makes no sense. Exactly. Thank you, Cap. That's the point I'm trying to make. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and in terms of the warp factors, warp 1 is the speed of light. Warp 2 is 10 times the speed of light. Warp 3 is 39 times the speed of light, according to Memory Alpha.
I like the Richter scale. It just makes no fucking sense.
Well, I think they went from a kilometer per hour system to a miles per hour system.
No, they didn't. That's ridiculous. You don't conflate the map with the territory. Yes, son. Hang on a second.
So it sounds like they never really nailed it down and made a. I'm surprised, out of all the things the fan have come up with and all the books they printed, I'm surprised they haven't actually put it, down in writing. How fast is what? Maybe I'm guessing probably because The speeds have varied over the years depending on the plot and the episode, how long it took them to get from one place to another, I'm guessing.
Well, they just sort of
Yeah.
formalized it by the time you got to the next generation, and they made the establishment that Warp 10 was existing in all locations in the galaxy all at once. And so you can never achieve Warp 10.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, now here's a question there. In a lot of TOS episodes, they refer to it like quadrants and all that. Would that just be like sectors then, like what they call sectors in TNG and DS9 there? Or was it because they said like the Enterprise is the only ship in this quadrant?
So, like, are you asking, is a quadrant the same size as a sector? Or, for example, does a sector contain several quadrants? So maybe you have a sector and then you have, or maybe you have quadrants and a sector and then you have a galaxy?
Well,
we need
like
a
in
astrophysicist for that.
TNG, well, in TNG and DS9, we got 4 quadrants there. There, you got the alpha, beta, gamma, and
Right.
delta quadrant. But you know, it's the 4. They split the galaxy into 4. Then you got sectors like you got the Bajoran sector, you got the Vulcan sector, you got all
So
these
there's
different.
right. So those
then
are
they divide
sectors
the
that are
quadrant up
within a
into different
quadrant.
sectors.
Right. So there's sectors within a quadrant, for
Yes.
example, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but in TOS they're always going, "Hey, the Enterprise is the only ship in this quadrant."
Mm-hmm. And again, it's just a formalization that they established by the time they got to TNG. They just didn't have the geography. They still don't. Like, I think there are a couple of maps that are accurate, but you're right. You're right, Gorilla. And apparently the impulse engines, impulse, half impulse, it's the amount of power that is being expended, not necessarily the speed. And yes, Scogli is right that full impulse is basically warp 0.5. Yeah, impulse was in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, impulse was capable of sustaining warp 0.5 without the warp drive even being online.
Okay, that makes sense. And Jill says, "Good job, Scotty."
Yeah, I killed a sex
so
bot.
that fits it. So that fits in with when they said that the Federation starships impulse drives are faster than the Dominion ones.
I think my take on all this is this is not this is all science fantasy. Basically, it's all just made up nonsense with no bearing on reality. You can't go faster than warp 1 because that's 186,000 miles a second. That's what Einstein said. So that's it. So the moment you go beyond warp 1, you're not science fiction. You're science fantasy. That's just
But
so
that's
let's
the
not get
difference.
caught up in what's basically made up words.
They do reconcile that in terms of that's why they call it warp drive, is because it's not necessarily propelling the Enterprise faster than the speed of light. It is warping the space around it.
Yeah, compressing space, that's even high. That's even greater levels of bollocks. And what if I've got a house in space that's being warped? Is it compressed? I mean, it's just bollocks to explain bollocks. It's like a press conference given by Kamala Harris. Other politicians are available.
Oh, come on. You didn't like how she loves being on a school bus there?
Space is so exciting. But yeah, so it's I mean, I've learned I'm all about the internal consistency. So that's why I've learned to relax about physics verisimilitude. It's a story. Let's relax. As long as the rules are consistent within the show, or at least within an episode, I'm happy. So I no longer have an issue. Go faster than light, grow a unicorn head, have fun. It's fiction.
Right.
Oh, I'm just having fun discussing this.
Right, and don't expect it.
But basically, I'm known for being hypercritical, so the laws of physics and fiction no longer disturb me. As long as something's internally consistent, I'm perfectly happy. But if you want to go there, warping's nonsense. I'd rather go in the Millennium Falcon than warp someone's house.
Hyperspace instead of warp. And Scogli says the shuttlecrafts on TNG and
subspace.
Okay. Scogli says the shuttlecrafts on TNG and Voyager were capable of warp 3. Scogli could be right. That I'm not sure. And Scotty R37 says thanks. I imagine probably to Jill. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I also thank you, Scotty. If you're the one that squashed those bots, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Well done, Scottford, king of the sex bots.
That's me.
They don't even. It's funny. You look at the bots. They don't even try to make sense. It says 69mega.com. Ugh. Tinder. Our girls write first. It's like, all right. I'm looking for the fastest writer in the planet. Okay, so I'll find one of your girls, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you're looking, going on a link from a sex bot, you're probably not looking for someone that's going to write to you.
No, I think you're right. That's the last thing they're looking for.
Exactly. Probably half the guys that use those sites probably can't read anyway, I imagine.
At least not English. They just see the happy face and whatever the little squirt thing is, the check mark, and the cry
Oh,
kiss
geez.
or whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd have to be pretty desperate to be using one of those sites.
Oh, come on, so some of us are in the boon.
Eugene says, wow. And Skogly says, warp speed is definitely on a scale, but Gorilla is right about impulse varying between ship to ship. I remember hearing somewhere that full impulse was half the speed of light. Which is, that's what I thought, too. I could be wrong. And Skogly says, but I can't find anything about it now. There's probably so many contradicting opinions. It's probably going to be hard to nail it down. I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends on which source you like.
Okay, so I have to ask this because the only very little I know about Voyager wasn't the plot kind of like Lost in Space where they were thrust somewhere far, far away and they were like years from
they were
Earth?
stuck in the Delta Quadrant. I never bought it, even though it was my second favorite Star Trek for a while. I didn't buy the premise because they basically did it voluntarily, something Prime Directive. So the whole thing was a bit fucking contrived, to be honest. They could have come up with something better to start the whole thing off.
Yeah, they could have fixed that totally by just planting a time bomb on the caretaker there and flung them back to Alpha Quadrant, and then they could have exploded after they're done.
Yeah.
After they flung themselves back to the Alpha Quadrant, it could have exploded the caretaker.
Okay, so my question is, go ahead.
And now Janeway had to be the hero there, not let the Kazon get hold of advanced technology. No, instead, let's just strand our whole crew here, 70,000 light years away, way down on the friends and everything they know. No, just because Janeway got a hero's hair up her ass there.
There's coffee in that nebula.
Then she has to insult the crew by saying, I promise you, I will get us home. We'll find every shortcut we can. We'll leave no stone untouched getting home. Bullshit, you just blew up your way home.
Exactly. Thanks for stranding us here, Captain Bligh. Exactly.
That would have been immediate mutiny.
Non-starter. Oh, we're the Marquee. We're going to take over. Or we're going to just drop the plot line entirely. All right.
Yeah, I never liked Voyager much. I didn't like Kate Mulgrew, really, particularly.
You and I agree on you. I agree with that.
She definitely didn't like 7 of 9.
Her voice just.
Oh, her voice. It was like
fingernails on a chalkboard. Yes, exactly.
I hated it so much.
Birth control.
Well, she was just shrill, right? Just shrill voice.
Right, robotic.
Yeah, and the way she pranced around on the bridge, I was like, oh, come on,
Sorry, nothing personal.
What did I see in that show? Oh, 7 and 9, that was it.
7 and 9 was the only really great character on that show for me. I mean, I found most of the characters kind of dull, actually.
So my question for the Voyager fans out there is, however many seasons it was on the air, were they slowly making their way back to Earth, and in the last episode they made it, or were they just doing, episode after episode, and then they said, oh no, we're running out we're going to be canceled at the end of the season. Let's hurry up and just zoom to Earth at the last minute, at the last episode.
Okay, here's the problem.
7 seasons, first of all.
Yeah, they planned to go 7 seasons, I think, from the start, probably just like, Next Generation did.
And Enterprise.
Yeah.
Enterprise is only 4, though.
No, I know, but they planned on 7.
Yeah, but they didn't make it, yeah.
Well, here's one of the issues that Voyager had is, especially, it was really bad in season 1, but they kind of let go of it in more seasons later, is find out on this episode. But season one, damn well they're not getting home. A few shortcuts here and there, but it's not until Janeway decides to go genocidal there and blow up a trans warp hub there of the Borg that they get back home finally. But she had to go full genocidal on the Borg.
So it was
Never
a
go
last
full
minute thing.
genocidal.
Well, Janeway, it's a time travel episode.
Oh, there it
so
is. So
Janeway goes
that's
back in time.
okay.
Janeway goes back. Janeway goes back in time there, where she has like a virus inside of her DNA. So when the Borg Queen tried to assimilate her, it infected the entire Borg crew, and well, we know it killed every Borg ship that was around that transport hub. But there were 6 of
Probably
those
had to
hubs
listen to her
type
voice.
deals.
Imagine
We don't know
assimilating
if it took
Janeway
out
and
the
all the
entire
Borg sound like
electric.
her. Oh, there's coffee in that nebula. There's coffee in that nebula. Oh, there's coffee
There's cigarettes in that
nebula. Fuck off,
ashtray.
7 of 9.
Yeah, cigarettes in that ashtray.
Hey, would it not have been the best, like, if Red Foreman got assimilated, then the Borg changed their catchphrase to "We are the Borg, prepared to have our boot up your ass, you dumbass."
I'm sure it would have been an improvement.
I think they should have cloned a late 70s European tennis player. Then they could call themselves the Bjorn Borg. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
That's one for the old school fans.
Yeah, he was a pretty good tennis player too.
You
At
won't
which
tell that to
point-
John McEnroe.
At which point did the Borgs have something other than a cube? Didn't they have a sphere at some point, or no?
They upgraded to a 20-sided die. They went through all the platonic solids.
Yeah,
Started off with a
yeah,
pyramid.
they had a. Well, in Voyager, there because they did not. They were never in DS9 except for the very first 2 minutes of
Coming
the,
next season, the Borg
emissary.
dodecahedron.
But in Voyager they had a Borg probe that looks like that was kind of rectangular. There's the Queen's diamond shaped ship, and there was also spears. But then the Borg also had armored vessels, or what they call tactical cubes, that were
So there were
armored,
smaller cubes.
especially
Tactical
armored.
cubes. 6
Bigger.
and a 4.
What was the difference between a tactical cube and a cube?
Weighted.
More armor.
Oh, but they were still just as big or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess they had like a box around them rather than you could see all the exposed conduits and everything. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. They had
Okay.
shit, pretty much
they go warp
plate
speed?
armor on it.
Or just
Oh, they could go
impulse?
transwarp. They had transwarp.
What the fuck
conduits.
is transwarp? What, you arrive at the other end of the galaxy and you change sex?
Yeah, I thought that was a failure on the Excelsior, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they got the tunnel.
Transwarp. I
where they open
identify
up
as a
a-
warp drive. Transwarp. Too soon?
Tunnel type deals in there. They could go really fast in them. That they're maybe Scotty can explain it better than I can.
In terms of transwarp?
Come on, Scotty.
Yeah.
Go for it, Scotty.
Well, I'm not 100% familiar. I know that there were transwarp conduits, and I know that there was an experiment with when it comes to the Excelsior in Star Trek 3, it was a propulsion experiment. They were calling it transwarp, but it wasn't necessarily actually transwarp.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a misnomer for a restriction of the technology at the time. And then when they did actually get transwarp, it was based on like conduits through space, and the Borg had they had hubs where you could get
Did
into
someone get a piece
transwarp.
of paper, fold it in half, and stick a pencil through it? Come on.
Nope, there's no paper or pencils in Star Trek, luckily.
Oh. Only in TOS. And Eugene says 7 of 9. And Scobie says, I haven't seen it in far too long, so I don't remember the details. But I remember being absolutely gobsmacked by plenty of Janeway's decisions.
Mm.
And Eugene says, what might you review after the animated series? That's what we're talking about, Eugene. If there's anything I haven't brought up.
Voyager.
Oh, yeah, Voyager, right? We'll do a riff show like MST 3000.
Hey, if we review Voyager, we're gonna have a drinking game on there. Every time they say quantum, or they say what was it, resonator, or there's quantum, and there's something else that they say. We gotta take a shot.
Joe says to Eugene, either Lost in Space or Batman the 66 series. We're not limited to just those two. If you guys have a suggestion of something you want to see, I mean, please let us know. And Captain keeps saying they spans. Eugene says cool to Derivative Jill. I could do these spans, but I don't know if I would be ready to stream it. Reviews about it within the next couple weeks.
How about Original Galactica? The original.
That's always a possibility. I don't know how popular that would be for viewers. If viewers would like that.
Well, there's a show I've been interested in watching called Andromeda.
No thanks.
Actually, the first season of Andromeda was quite good, and then they screwed it up totally. But I liked the first season.
No, it wasn't that one that had the guy from Hercules, right? Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo.
Prisoner.
Prisoner would be a good one.
Yeah, but The Prisoner had just a few episodes in one season, right?
It's got like 17, I believe.
17.
And there's already controversy on the view order, like Star Trek.
It would keep it going for a few months, though. You know.
I know it's popular, but I never really got into The Prisoner. I guess I'd have to try to watch it again to see if I could get the gist.
You know,
I know what it was about, and I understood, but I hate to say this. I don't want to disrespect for Prisoner fans. I don't want to disrespect anybody because I know there's a lot of them out there.
Well, I'm one.
Which is fine, but I just found it talking heads. I just found it very dull.
Oh,
and it's hard.
A lot of intellectual intrigue going on, though. They're always playing games with them, right?
Right.
You know,
if I was gonna
trying to figure them out.
Yeah, if I was to pick a 60s British show, I would pick The Avengers.
The Avengers, there you go.
I was going to mention
appeal.
You might want. I don't know if you'd want to just do the Diana Rigg episodes.
The Emma Peel collection, they call it.
Yeah, those
Joanna
are
Lovely.
Fabulous. Yeah, the 50 Diana Rigg episodes of The Avengers are one of my favorite all-time shows. They're great.
Yeah, they just hit Blu-ray too, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yes,
I gotta get a
today.
Blu-ray player.
You got to get a Blu-ray player.
That's what I keep saying too.
Series, though.
That's what I keep saying too.
It's a wonderful series. It's like, what do they call it? Spy-fi, I think is the term they created. Because it definitely has a lot of science fiction.
Nice.
Has a lot of science fiction elements in the.
Well, it does, and it was before Bond.
The Rigg one was 65, I believe, when she started.
Well, I mean the series in general. It came out and hit big before Bond even came out.
It was on like 9 years. I think the first season came out. It was around 61, something like that. But most of those episodes are what they call lost episodes, because back then, of course, it was on videotape in the early years, and the BBC had the brilliant, policy of wiping the tapes for reuse.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's only, I think, about maybe 2.5, 3 episodes that exist, something like that.
Same with Doctor Who.
Yeah, a lot of those are gone too.
And it's crazy because videotape was so cheap. It's like, God.
Well, the bean counters, right? They don't care about art.
Well, and they never dreamed of people like us that years later we would be talking about these things, that we would be wanting to see them. They never dreamed that would happen.
They never anticipated, though.
They never conceived that their own shows that they were making as a company could have a shelf life. That's kind of sad, isn't it? They basically taped more than what was on them, even though they were making what was on them.
Yeah, and the cost of production of those episodes too. I mean, it's kind of silly.
Right, and this is before syndication.
Oh yeah, well, actually, I think was it syndicated over here in North America?
Oh, here it was, but you're talking about the later episodes.
Well, the Rigg ones are kind of in the middle, because there was the Linda Thorson ones that came after she left, and I think that went for a couple of series too. So yeah, it went from like 61 to 69. It was like a long series.
69.
I wish I could do Get Smart, but it's a comedy, and it's hard to review that.
Get Smart's great, but yeah.
Like I said earlier, I don't. It's hard to do a comedy without ruining.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'd go for.
There are a lot of the 60s spy shows,
If you want to go really old school, how about Champion the Wonder Horse? Come on, member berries. Like an arrow flying from a bow. Champion the Wonder Horse. It's probably the first show I ever watched. Well, actually in Poland it would have been Koziołek Matołek, the Talking Goat, or Boleki Lolek. I think, why don't you do obscure award-winning cartoons from Poland? Yeah, do Koziołek Matołek. Give me full member berries. Koziołek Matołek. Come on, Scotty, you'd love it. He's a talking goat with trousers.
Well, that does sound appealing.
I'd like to see
Can't be any worse than Picard season 3. Come on, folks.
Actually,
I personally have not heard of that myself.
Well, you know, weren't born in Poland. Koziołek Matołek. It's brilliant. Look it up if you can spell it.
Champion the Wonder Horse. I can spell that.
I'll be into that. You can always tell the bad guys because they put the bandanas over their faces. Oh, you're a bank robber, not a cowboy.
So Champion the Wonder Horse, is that kind of like Lassie, except it's a horse instead of a dog?
Yeah, if Lassie's like too fast-paced and modern for you, then Mr. Red's too funny, then Champion the Wonder Horse. Yep.
Okay.
You know, one I'd like to suggest, Pop, that's a great show. It was the first show I got into when I was like 4 years old. Was the classic Zorro series with Guy Williams.
Oh yeah, that's another good one, isn't it?
That was a great show. It was so well produced, ahead of its time, really, because it often had continuing story threads, which was really unusual for like 1958.
Ahead of its time. These days, people complain it's pro-Russian. Think about it.
Is it even available?
Disney put out DVD sets about 10 years back, and they're very pricey now. So I don't know if there's anything online, any streaming services that might offer them, possibly.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I don't see.
Yeah, they came out in like tins. You know, they were like sort of deluxe tins, and they were going for like $50, I think, back then. But you're probably talking, $500 now if you get them on eBay or something.
Well, was it at least like the entire seasons, or was it those horrible like best?
Oh yeah, seasons. I think it's around 25 episodes a season. There were 2 complete seasons, and then I think the third season was just like 4 TV movies or something. I'd have to look it up because it's been ages since I've seen it. But yeah, it was a really great show.
Should we go now?
It's been 30 minutes yet.
I know.
And
guys, we're popping out for food, but I'll take you with us. I'll just mute myself occasionally.
All right. Thank you, Captain.
No, I'll stay here if that's all right.
That's fine, yes.
There might be a devastating rejoinder to something cheeky Scotty says. I can't be missing out. Just I'll mute myself while I'm in the car.
Okay.
Dad's turn to cook. That means it's fish and chips time. All right.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. Scully says Transwarp was like an artificial wormhole. And Jill says, I don't know why Windows says it's attempting repairs when it knows it's going to fail. And Bill Gates, once again. Yeah, you guys heard now?
Do not.
Yeah, now they want to poison our food supply. They want to talk about putting the RNA vaccine into our food. And it's like, oh.
Right. See, for Mac users, Bill Gates turned out to be the supervillain we always thought he was. He's not just
always knew he was. I always knew he was. I always knew he was. But
I wouldn't talk about Epstein. He's dead now. Yes, because you're a regular on his flights, Bill Gates, you weirdo.
Yeah, imagine. It reminds me of that movie Hitman's Holiday, where it's got all these hitmen. I can imagine that's what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Is like there's probably like a line of hitmen waiting to get to him. They were hired by so many different people. But of course, we don't want to get our channel stricken. But Jill, I hope you do get your computer straightened around. I know Windows is a pain in the neck.
Yeah, it can be at times, yeah.
The
only thing is so much cheaper than Macs.
Yeah, it was purposely designed that way, though.
Oh, it is. Of course it is.
No one's perfect, by the way. I contacted Apple about my stolen music videos. And bottom line is, blah, 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 blah. They still haven't fixed it. So at this point, it's been almost a year, certainly over 6 months.
Wow.
Apple, you might as well be doing it on purpose. They gave me BS. I'm not being an Apple fanboy. Do not buy any movies, music, or videos from Apple. They will steal them, and they'll do nothing about it. So there you go.
I agree.
Don't worry. Don't worry, I won't. I don't buy anything from Apple anyhow.
Jill says, "Oh yes, I don't like when they release volumes when I want the whole season." There.
Oh no,
I completely
they
agree.
released the two, tins. They were tins. They're like box sets, and they released season 1 and then season 2, which also included the 4 season 3 movies.
Good.
Actually, I'm just looking it up here. It's 1957 when it started. Wow, 57 to geez, what year was it? 1959, I guess, was the final broadcast. Actually, there's 78 episodes plus 4 specials, so there's a good
Oh,
it's a good run. They're only 30-minute episodes though, so it'd be very easy to do a couple every week. You could
yeah, that
probably
is
go through
true.
the series, fairly quickly that way.
Maybe I'll do a crowdfunding or whatever it's called, raise enough money to buy one of those sets on eBay.
I'm surprised that it wouldn't be online somewhere though, because it was such a popular show in its day. I mean,
I will
I'd
look
have to
for
do
it.
some I have to do some research on this to
I
really
like
look.
Guy Williams from Lost in Space, so I will look
Oh,
for it.
Guy Williams. He's actually even much better in Zorro because he's the main character. And, I mean, often in Lost in Space, Dr. Smith would pretty much take over
Well, yeah,
every
especially
episode.
by season 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, Guy was like, he was like a secondary character in his own show almost, which made me feel kind of sad because as an actor, and he seemed like a nice guy too, right? But in Zorro, he's like, the swashbuckler, he's the center of the series, definitely. I mean, and he's a great character.
He was a good
There's great,
actor.
great, sword fights, and he's on his, riding his,
Here
faithful,
we go.
horse, and oh, I mean, first show I ever got into, and I love that show still.
I'll be right back, guys.
Getting ready for
Okay.
Warp Factor 2.
Now it also got quiet.
It did
Yeah.
indeed.
New topic.
Well, whatever ends up happening, I'm curious to see what is chosen after the animated series. We still got 4 episodes.
We got 5
to
now.
go. Yeah.
They don't look like we're going to get to this one tonight.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping that Jill has the best of luck getting her computer thing sorted out, because I do want to see Tomorrow is yesterday.
That'll suck too if she's still out of commission then. Yeah, geez.
So who knows what will happen?
I'm surprised Jill doesn't have a backup, laptop or something, she could fire up.
Well, it's not like she's a 911 dispatcher. She talks about Star Trek. I appreciate
Yeah,
all
but
the effort she does.
She is a computer tech whiz, kind of, right? She designs stuff,
true.
so I would have thought she might have had an old laptop kicking around the house somewhere, but oh well.
Well, she's not like
do know
LDG and has 6 screens all combined into one, and then like 30 different towers just lying around.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Or what's his name? He's on karaoke all the time. There, I was telling him he has like 6 computer monitors and all that. He looked around his thing and started counting. 6? How cute! I got 12. He has like 12 monitors and this big old huge setup now. All that, and I was like, holy shit! I can understand like 2, maybe 3 screens, for especially if you're running a business and stuff like that. But what the hell do you need 12 freaking monitors for?
That seems excessive a bit. Yeah, it's like
Even
at
the
work. I
6s
have
look
I have
excessive
2
to me.
screens. I have 2 screens at work because I pretty much need them, right, with all the information I got to process every day. So, but yeah, that's a lot of screens. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
that
like I can understand that too.
I wanted to bring up where PvP says, Jill's so sorry to hear your PC's broken. And Jill says, me too. I don't want to cancel tomorrow. Well, Jill, our thoughts are with you. We hope you figure it out, Jill. And she says there are other computers, but they suck. There are many of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just not the same without Jill here, though.
No, she's the voice of
you,
reason. Yeah, Jill. So yeah, there's always a spot for you, Jill.
Yeah, Jill's fun.
I mean, obviously we can't do the show without her, so that goes to show you.
Oh well, at least we've covered a lot of other topics tonight, so it wasn't a total total waste of time or anything.
Right. And if you're watching this on the rerun out there, I apologize. But I hope you enjoy our ranting and raving anyway.
So anybody else got any other ideas for shows that might be worth?
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
which is better, fish and chips or chips and fish?
Fish and chips. And
Agree.
I give it by quantity order. I want more fish than I do chips.
Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
run out of either, really.
Fish and
Lemon
chips.
pi-
Now I'm getting
right.
hungry.
Lemon pie says that's the key. I also have served. I have several devices, but they are not all equal. And Jill says it is a good show. See, this reminds me of a topic too. There's a guy on YouTube who has a channel. He's pretty good. He's funny, a little controversial, and he reviews like, for example, like TOS, Star Trek TOS. But I have also listened to some of his live streams where I was listening to people asking him questions, and because he every now and then he'll do random reviews of like $6 Million Man and Battlestar Galactica, the original series. And the fans in the chats have asked him during the live streams, they'll say, how come you don't cover more, like $6 Million Man, or how come you don't cover more like Battlestar Galactica? He says that he'll put out videos, then he'll watch the algorithm and see what gets views and what doesn't. And a lot of those shows he'll find out that he realizes he likes those episodes, he likes to cover them, but they just don't get the views. So he says that's why he's always goes back and focuses mostly on Star Trek TOS. So that's another factor I need to consider when I decide which shows to review. It's got to be something that people want to see, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But
The
I mean, I don't know.
general public, I mean.
The thing is, though, are you doing it for the views, or are you doing it because you love to, talk
Both.
about this?
Both. Well, I won't be able people without I'll give you an example. Like if I pick an obscure show, like I said, I like Get Smart. And if I say, well, I don't care if people want to, watch it or not, I'm going to do I love it, so I'm going to do streams anyway. But if I don't have anybody there to bounce, if I don't have any fellow panelists or nobody in the chat, I'm sure it's just going to end up dying.
Right. So you think it'll hurt your channel basically with the algorithm thing?
I think it's I'm still getting used and learning to what the algorithms are, but I think it probably would negatively impact my channel.
Yeah, I suppose.
I still don't even have a set co-host for my horror stream on Tuesday.
Oh,
yet.
really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Wednesday. No, tomorrow. That's right. Yeah, I've already have it planned and I have it slotted for tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. But I haven't had anybody really, say I will absolutely be there. I'll be on the panel. I haven't had that happen. I've had a few people say, "Oh, you're going to do a horror stream? Sure, I'd like to see that." So I'm just going to wing it tomorrow and I'll find out. I'll just start the stream and see what happens.
It's only one way to find out, I guess. Yeah.
What are you reviewing? Pop culture?
Yeah. What you're doing? Evil Dead, right?
Yeah, and Gorilla, you don't like gore, so yeah, you don't want to.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you pay for the cleaning services and the therapy, I'll join you.
No, that's all right. I'm not going to have you watch something that you don't enjoy.
When's this?
No,
is this tomorrow?
I'll give it a try. I'll tell you what, pop culture. I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try.
You're not going to like it, Gorilla. You don't even like blood squirting, and that is the minimum part of Evil Dead. I mean, Lemon Pie says fish at warp 2, and chips at warp 1, says Lemon Pie. Scogly says that is wise, Pops, and I agree with you 100%. You have to find a marriage between what you love and what people watch. And Scogly says I'll be there for the horror post, but I'll be at work, so I'm kind of hit and miss. So as to how much I'll be able to participate, I understand, Scogly. I appreciate that. He'll be running that register, and I will hoping to have the stream. Hopefully, it'll keep you entertained, Scogly, while you're working. But yeah, I've had Hungry Boy was the one I really wanted to be a co-host, but him and I haven't been able to get a time synced up.
So what time is the Evil Dead stream?
Same time as this one, but tomorrow it'll be 6 p.m. Pacific.
I'll have to miss it then, sadly. Well, actually, you're going to be doing what? Just one movie, or?
Yes.
You're going to do the first one. Well, I might be able to pop on towards the end of it then.
Right, I'm just going to cover the first one, and then I'll do. Next stream will be the second, and the third will be Army of Darkness. I figure.
Right.
And Scogly says Gorilla Evil Dead is pretty rough, even though it's mild by today's standards. But they literally chop somebody up on the floor with an axe, and you see the dismembered parts on the floor.
Hells yes.
That's what I say.
The thing is, though, like I hate slasher films. I'm not a gore fan at all, Pop, but I love Evil Dead. Like it's so over the top and crazy that the gore, at least to my eyes when I watch it, it's like it's so over the top. It's almost like funny, you know.
Well, it's a testament to Sam Raimi's directorial power is the fact that it's not just a bunch of gratuitous gore thrown in. There was a lot of low budget 80s movies that did that.
Hmm.
It's his directing and the style of that movie is what makes it still memorable today and why it's so popular.
They're great movies. I love all three of them, really.
They're very. I
Well,
mean, you have a lot of ingenuity. I mean, they're very. As we know, for those of us that have seen it, they're not boring.
Oh, hell no. They're
The
great.
camera is always moving.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of talking heads and slow scenes. I mean, it's everything that a lot of low budget movies are not, I guess.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
great pacing. So the
Yeah.
cinematography, I think, especially in the second film, there's some really great shots, like very atmospheric.
Yeah, I miss the old Sam Raimi. I wish he would stop making this Doctor Strange garbage and bending over to Disney. He needs to get back to directing movies again.
He needs to get back to his independent days.
That's exactly right. When they start getting too they start getting too rich and too famous, they get too complacent.
Then they get corporate, and then they turn into Spielberg.
Exactly, a corporate shill, right?
Yeah.
Lemon Pie says, "Isn't Evil Dead a horror/comedy?" I consider the first one horror with tinges of comedy, and I consider the second one half and half, and the third one straight up comedy. But that's
Yeah.
my opinion. What do you think?
I agree 100%. That's pretty
Yeah, I
much
would
it.
say that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But I
that's
love
what
all
think.
three of them. I mean, they're all a bit different, but they're all good.
Right, right. For those three reasons, they're all different. Right, that's exactly it. Instead of the same story, three different movies, that just shows the quality there. They were able to entertain us three different ways with the same story structure, I guess.
And the thing is, too, I mean, even though technically the second film is kind of a remake of the first one, it's still different enough where it's not like a retread. It feels like its own, original, film, right? And
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, Bruce Campbell is so brilliant in those films. I mean, he's a
Oh, he
great
is.
actor.
Right. He rose from a little timid, a shy guy in the first movie to pretty much box office hero. Everybody loves Bruce Campbell now, right?
Yeah, Ash pretty much gets it together in the second film and doesn't stop after that. He's a great character.
It is, and I think and I know we'll cover this more in the horror stream, but in the second movie, it's like Raimi said, "Okay, now we have money because obviously the first one was very low budget."
Right.
So I think Sam Raimi, when he made the second one, is like, okay, there's a lot of people who have not seen the first one. So what I'm going to do is kind of like a TV show where it says previously last week on Evil Dead. So he kind of reshot and kind of crammed like the first movie into almost like a montage. And then so the first, maybe a third of Evil Dead 2 is like a montage of what happened in the first one redone. And then it's like, okay, that's when the plot continues when the other visitors start coming to the cabin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby Joe and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the second film is definitely a lot more complex. So, yeah.
God, it's hard to believe it was filmed inside of a gymnasium in a high school.
Was it really? There
Oh,
must be a lot of
yeah.
location stuff, though, right? Out in the
No, I
woods
can't
and
wait
stuff.
to share the details. Yeah. Yeah, because I read the Evil Dead Companion. And by the way, the book is now in the $50 range.
Ouch.
But anyway, the Evil Dead Companion, yeah, it tells the story in detail of the movies and the blood and sweat literally that went into making those movies.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to grab myself a burger.
Oh, first fish and chips and now burger. I'm hungry.
I'm getting
Is the
hungry
smell
now.
of food? Is it the smell doing it for you? We're in the restaurant right now.
Yes, it is the odor.
I was thinking
The
of going to
tasty,
making myself a
tasty scent.
sandwich.
I know, and
I was
I'm getting
debating
hungry
on whether or
too.
not- I was debating on whether or not I want turkey or just a ham sandwich.
I have to ask Captain if you're listening. I mean, over there in
Yes.
Britain, and I have to ask, well, in Britain and where you're at, you guys have
Yeah.
you guys don't have that despicable Long John Silver's, do you?
I don't believe so. Long John
don't-
Silver.
I don't think we
No.
have it here in
There
Canada
were
either.
3 of them.
It's horrible. In fact, now that I think about it, there's very few of them anymore. So if it
That's
still
like with
exists,
everything else, where possible, go locally owned, go local.
well, it's just whatever. From what I remember, everything tastes the same. I mean, I could order Well, it didn't matter whatever from the menu. You can close your eyes and everything tastes exactly the same. They cooked everything in the same grease.
You just order a thing.
Yeah, I just ordered that round thing. I'll take a square one over there and that long thing over there. Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, their captain, or pop, they can. They're kind of limited on how many fryers they can have in the kitchen too.
How many fryers?
Yeah.
Well, no, I agree.
many
I agree with
fryers.
that. I agree with that. When I was working in the South, I was in Arkansas. I remember now, and it was a mom and pop restaurant, and it said fish and chips and burgers and fries and all this stuff across the menu. I said, okay, whatever, and there was nowhere else, so I stopped there and I ordered a burger and fries. And the fries taste like fish, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
As soon as I opened it up, my meal stunk, and the fries taste like fish.
That's
So I
kinda
learned
nasty.
they need to separate fryers, and they sell fryers of different sizes.
Wow.
Because I've worked fast food before, so I would say at a minimum, separate your fries and your tater tot, whatever your side dishes are, your chips. Separate those from the fish if they can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but an issue I could see is say you had 20 orders up and go. First order come in, get in the fryer. Okay, we got an open up fryer. Get the second order in. We got to get it out the door.
Well, that's fine with me as long as they let everybody know that walks in the door. By the way, everybody, everything's going to taste the same. It's all going to taste like fish. So if you're not a fish lover, you're in the wrong place. And they won't do that, right?
Well, and again, I just wanted to thank you, Pop Culture. I hopefully everything goes well with Jill and her CompuDeck, and we'll be able to do tomorrow as yesterday. But thank you again, sir. Nice to talk again. And thanks to Gorilla and Captain Finity and PvP. Hopefully, I'll see you guys all in the future.
Yes,
Hey,
thank
Scotty.
you for being
Yeah,
here,
we'll see you,
Scotty,
Scotty.
and enjoy the burger.
Always fun, Scotty.
Cheers,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Enjoy dinner, everyone, or lunch,
Thanks,
or
chat.
breakfast.
Have a good night.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish up these chats. Scogly says, that's how I react to gore as well, too, though. PvP, even if it's brutally realistic.
Well, I don't like the realistic stuff. That I can't watch the really gory stuff. Like I saw the first Friday the 13th, and I was pretty much done with gore. At that point.
No, I like those. The great Tom Savini. Sorry.
Yeah, just didn't do it for me.
What turned me off to the blood and gore there, I think the movie was called The 300. It's about the invasion into Greece and that.
Oh yeah,
every time
the Spartans.
Yeah, but every time they go in for a slash with a sword, it goes slow motion, and they hit it, and you just slowly watch the blood splatter across the screen. Every single sword slash, they slow it down so you can slowly watch the blood splatter across. I was like, that was enough. It pissed me off. It's like, I can't
Well, it doesn't help
remember the name of the movie.
it doesn't help that it was a Zack Snyder film either.
Oh, you know which one I'm talking about then?
Oh yeah, that was the one.
That was the one good.
Yeah, the one good Zack Snyder film, the one that made him famous, and the only one that was good, in my opinion, though. Lemon Pie says it's possible I saw Evil Dead 2 only. Well, Lemon Pie, you got to see all of them, all three. Forget about the remakes, especially the newest one.
Yeah, 300 sounds like gore porn.
Well, it was supposed to be a stylistic
close up on the blood.
First of all, it was entirely green screen, so it doesn't look realistic, but it's stylistic and it's all in slow motion because it's Zack Snyder. Very basic, minimal, one-dimensional plot. It's Zack Snyder. I mean, I keep saying it's Zack Snyder, but I mean, the guy is a one-trick pony. Jill says goodnight to Scotty, and Lemon Pie says bye, Scotty.
Oh, I just want to mention, Pop, I put a couple things in the private chat, a link to Zorro and the Avengers, if you might want to take a look and read up on those a bit more.
Got it. Yes, I see those now. Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to see if I can find Zorro, because I've always wanted to see it, but I've never seen it for sale.
Show. I love that show. Yeah, it's really good.
Is it are you talking about a TV show or?
Yeah,
or
1950s. The 1950s series.
Okay, you got, or like, did you send them articles or did you send them the actual show?
I just sent them a couple links to the Wikipedia stuff. Right. That's a good general place to probably start.
Okay.
Like the Avengers. I love the Emma Peel, but it's like,
Yeah.
but is there an appeal on YouTube? I don't know if people want to see that these days. I don't. It's like, which is sad because I love it. It's a great show.
I don't know. It was
Very
such a
imaginative.
It was a huge hit in its day, though. So, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it's not probably going to be still as big as Star
Yeah.
Trek and that awful Avengers movie they made with Sean Connery,
Oh
which was an
yes.
Yeah.
abomination. That probably
So
doesn't
PvP,
help.
what's it called? What's it
Which
called?
one?
The
The
Zorro
Avengers.
one.
Zorro and the Avengers.
Oh, you're
Zorro
talking
and the
about
Avengers?
Yeah, the Avengers, the 1960s TV show, not the movies.
not the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you want to check out the Emma Peel ones. She's only in 50 episodes, but those are just great episodes. They're classics. Because there was, I think in season one, well, John Steed's the main character, right?
Oh
In
yes.
season one, he had, it was a doctor and it was a male character, right? It wasn't even a female.
Oh, I
And
think
then,
so.
yeah, season two, he got a female assistant, and that was the Linda Thorson ones. Not Linda Thorson. Oh, what's her name? She was in Goldfinger.
I
Oh,
get the names mixed up, but I know that
she
there was
played Pussy
3
Galore.
different women. Right.
How do you spell Zorro?
Honor Blackman. Honor Blackman is the woman.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Hey,
She
how do you
just
spell
passed away
Zorro?
recently, actually,
She did. I saw the article and that was terrible. She was a beautiful woman.
and she was really good. I mean, the only thing with those early seasons is they are on videotape, so they're a little fuzzy. And the stories, though they're good, they don't have the flair of the ones with Emma Peel.
Yeah, by the time they got to Emma Peel, they had really fine-tuned the series.
They had it, yeah, they had it pretty much set by then, and she was well, the thing is, was such a great actress, and her and Patrick Mooney had such an on-screen
Oh
chemistry
yes,
because
yes.
I think they really actually did like each other a lot when they were working together those
They
years.
did. I've seen interviews. They did. They got along really well.
Yeah, so it shows on the screen, and the writers. I mean, geez, who are the writers? There were some great British writers writing that stuff.
And did you hear? I think it was just yesterday or day before. Her car is opened up for sale in auction just recently. The car
Really?
that she drove. Yeah, the car that she drove in the series.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
because they had some really
Hey,
cool cars too.
yeah. Hey, PvP, how do you
Mhm.
spell Zorro?
Zorro.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
in the private
okay.
chat there. Zorro. Yeah, 1957 is the series you want to be looking for with Guy
Stokely
Williams.
says it's all blood
Okay.
though. PvP and 300. There's no ripping of the flesh, so to speak, on screen. Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
see. Well, I guess that wouldn't be too bad then.
right. And Captain Infinity says, "Hurrah!" I guess clapping hands. I'm guessing and a smile.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the writers here.
And not only that, though, let's not forget they had some of the biggest British actors in that series. I mean, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee both showed up in it.
Oh yeah, they were great. Those were great
Yes,
episodes. Yeah.
and the series, the way it was written, it was really imaginative. I remember that the episodes were. I was always looking forward to it because it was like the villain of the week plot, and the villains were always way over the top. It was hilarious.
Yeah, there was a lot of like crazed crazed villains. It was kind of like Bond in that sense, I guess. But yeah, I'm looking. It was series 4, 1965-66, where Emma Peel's character came in, episode 79, The Town of No Return. And yeah, that's when you had writers coming into the series like Brian Clements, which you've probably heard of.
Yes. Yeah.
Philip Levine, Tony Williamson. I mean, there's some big writers connected with the show by that time. So, yeah, Brian Clemens in particular, I think he's probably one of the more famous British writers for TV, if I remember correctly.
I remember I'd watch the back to back. I'd watch the Avengers and the Saint.
Oh yeah, the Saint. That's another one. I don't know if you get the huge viewing audience, but Roger Moore.
I would
right?
not get a huge viewing audience, even though I enjoy watching it. Good old Roger
though,
Moore there.
If you put Roger Moore in the title, you might get some interest because he's still pretty famous, right? So
I remember when I heard that he signed on for Bond, I was like, "Yes, my dreams have come true. I can't believe it's too good to be true."
Hey, okay, I got a question. Did it run from 1957 to 1959, right?
yeah, the
That sounds
Zorro
about right.
series.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically 2 full seasons and 4 TV movies in season 3.
Now, was it 4 separate movies, or did they take a couple episodes and combine them, like sometimes they used to in the day?
I can't remember offhand actually because it's been so long since I've
Okay.
seen them.
Yeah, you've seen that where they would take a few episodes and kind of combine them into one, that kind of thing, to make a movie.
Yeah, I know they did that with Uncle sometimes, like they do it for the movie market overseas, I believe.
Yes, they even did that with the Flash series in the '90s. So yeah, that
Did
they
they?
continued that for a while. Yeah,
Oh wow.
the
Yeah, I'm
Trickster
just going.
episode with Mark Hamill, I remember it was a 2-parter here in the U.S. and it was a movie there in Britain.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I don't remember.
Oh, that would
much
be
of it.
another good one. The Flash. I know there's only one good season, but I love that show. That was Barry Allen. That was Barry Allen. How Barry Allen should be portrayed, not this horrible thing they have now.
That was the '70s version.
No, '90s. I'm talking about the '90s.
'90s. Oh wow.
version. Yeah, the '90s. There was only one season, and the only reason why it was canceled because it was too expensive to produce. It had good
Wow.
ratings and everything. It had great. It was when Batman was big with Tim Burton because the soundtrack was done by Danny Elfman.
Oh, Danny
And-
Elfman's great.
Yeah, it has a great soundtrack. It takes place. It's done like a noir of 1940s, 50s kind of style.
Okay.
Barry Allen is taken seriously. He's actually a police investigator. He's not some little
Yeah.
horrible whatever that thing they have now.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat for you.
By the way, I just wanted to tell you the number of episodes for Zorro. Season 1 was 39 episodes. Season 2 was 39 as well. And then there were called specials, the last 4, which I guess technically could be thought of kind of as season 3, but they were labeled as specials. So
Yes, and I'm looking at that link you sent, Gorilla, and yes, that is the one.
Yep,
Oh,
there
Poor
you
guy
go. So
Williams.
You'll
Yeah,
have
poor guy
both,
Williams. He died at a young age, relatively young. He wasn't that old when he died. It was sad.
yeah,
yeah.
that has both seasons. They're both of them 39.
I have to ask this in case I don't know if you guys remember this, but it's on YouTube and it is absolutely mind blowing. But have you guys seen the Family Feud episodes where Gilligan's Island versus Batman and Gilligan's Island
No.
versus
I've heard about
Lost in
them.
Space?
I don't think I've seen them yet. That sounds pretty
Oh
funny.
my God, they're great. Gilligan's Island versus. Okay, you guys know what Family Feud is?
Oh
They had
yeah.
Gilligan's,
I used to
Gilligan's
watch
Island
that.
versus Lost in Space, and on Lost in Space they had. They didn't have Burt Ward, but they had Adam West, and they had 2 cat women, and they had Vincent Price who played Egghead,
Oh
and
jeez.
they were up against Gilligan's Island, and everybody was there except for Gilligan. Yeah, and what was funny is, and the smartest. Okay, first of all, that's when you realize, well, I guess the professor really is just an actor because he's not really that smart, and he missed a lot of questions, but he's a nice
Oh,
guy.
jeez.
But the best player, the best smartest and best player on the Family Feud was Jim Backus, Mr. Howell. He
Really?
seemed to get the most questions correctly. Yes. So for all you out there listening, I recommend to go to YouTube, and it's Family Feud, Lost in Space versus Batman, and also it was Lost in Space versus Batman, Lost in Space versus Gilligan's Island, and those 3 kind of rotated. So there's like a couple different episodes, and they
Wow.
are the best.
Well, in all
Yeah, that sounds
fairness,
pretty good.
pop culture. In all fairness, yeah, the answers aren't like factual trivial questions. It's just what people could. But we just surveyed 100 people. This is what they said. It's
Well,
not
right,
based
I
on-
agree, but it's funny because Russell Johnson, the guy who plays the professor, would come up with something and it would go and an X on the screen, and he would say, "I don't know, I just don't know that much," and it's hard to believe the professor's saying that.
So Russell would basically be clueless then, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
That sounds
Well,
pretty
one of these days, maybe we can do it like in the backstage. I'll show those episodes because I can always
Sure.
get them and show them.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But it's funny to see, Adam West and all them. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
and
yeah.
head to head with Gilligan's Island and the Lost in Space cast had Guy Williams on there.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I want to see that now. I
Yeah,
love
in fact,
Guy
I saw
Williams.
I saw an
He's
interview with the like Billy Mooney and them, and they said that was the last time they saw him is when they got together
great.
for
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they lost touch with him in his later years, didn't they?
Well, he
Sad.
moved to Argentina
South
or one of those
America?
countries.
Yeah, South America. Yeah.
And there they idolized him because Zorro was really big there, so he lived like a king there, but unfortunately died at a relatively early age.
Yeah, it was heart problem or something. I
I
think.
believe so. And
I
it was a
forget
heavy
now.
smoker. May have been cancer, heavy smoke.
That
A lot
didn't
of them
help.
back then, yeah, smoking. Did you know June Lockhart is still alive?
Really?
Yes,
Wow, that's cool. Wow.
it is. I mean, she's old, but she looks really, really good for her age.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's nice to
Yeah,
know.
and she's a big and here she's a big Deadhead.
Right, she's a Grateful Dead fan.
Yes, Bill Bill Mooney. I've seen interviews, and I also meet one of my friends on Facebook, and I've seen several interviews. She took him to a whole bunch of rock concerts and turned him on to a whole bunch of music.
Wow, that's cool. Wow.
Right. So she wasn't as innocent as she looks on the show, which I thought was very, very cool.
Yeah, well, back then, I mean, I guess, ladies on TV had to kind of play the innocent stuff a little more.
That was the plot, right?
Oh, by the way, I want to ask Gorilla here, is this look movie thing you posted here in the private chat, is that like watchable? Like, can we actually watch them on there?
No, it's just
Yeah.
it's an info page that it talks about
No,
Zorro.
no,
It's not a movie.
no. Pop culture. There's a play button at the top of the screen. You click play that, it'll take you to a second screen. You just gotta click. I'm not a robot.
I'm not a gorilla.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see a little triangle, button thingy here.
Yeah, if you hit play on that, then you gotta scroll down that next page there
That's
and say
great.
you're not. You say you're not a robot. There, then I'll take you to the actual things, and you just pick which episode you want to watch.
Wow, that's
Well,
great.
and I can easily capture the video from the site if it looks good, if it's in good quality.
Yeah, it looks like it might be. Is it colorized though? Do you know? It looks like it might have been colorized.
Black and white.
Oh, so it's the original black and white one's great because the black and white it really looks good in the show. Like the cinematography is really, really well done and it's very atmospheric.
And
So
I agree, anything colorized is bastardized. And so
yeah, I've saw some of the colorized episodes years ago and they looked okay. Like for colorized, they were quite well done, but I still prefer the original.
same here, because as we all know that when they made those colorized episodes, they didn't really know what colors people were wearing. So the computer just guessed and
Yeah.
made a mistake most of the times. They had gray teeth, gray eyes. I mean, it didn't do detail, especially the Ted Turner color remakes, like the first
Oh
season
yeah.
of Bewitched and Jimmy JD is god awful.
Those were what, back in the 80s or something? Those really were
Yes.
horrible. That early stuff was
Horrible.
bad. Yeah, it looked
Color, yeah, right.
very,
Even
very
now,
bad.
colorization has come a long way, but it still does not look good, because I was watching just a couple months ago a recent colorization of something black and white. Laurel and Hardy. It was a
Oh
Laurel and
wow.
Hardy short that had been recently colorized with quote with an AI. And Stan Laurel would walk across from, let's say, left to right, walk across the screen, and his clothes are changing color as he's walking. So it's still no. It's I would say it's still far away from being perfect, but I would say they should give it up and just stop doing it, because us black and white aficionados would rather just keep it that way.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if somebody's too clueless to, realize something's great just because it's black and white, I have very little patience for them anyway, really.
Oh, so you have little patience for me?
Oh well, come on. I didn't mean that.
It's funny we're mentioning that PvP. Gorilla had never seen Laurel and Hardy, and I just showed him a short for the first time last week.
Oh wow, Laurel
Yeah.
and Hardy are great.
See, my mind's getting changed on black and white, like Gilligan's Island. I forgot that the first season was in black and white. But then I got to see like the Hidden Hand, the Charlie Chan movies. There are a couple mafia ones.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
black and white's done well, when you've got a good cinematographer, it can be pretty awesome, actually.
Especially mysteries and horror movies. Oh my God, you can't
Oh, yeah.
compare to color.
The Universal monster films,
Right,
the
the shadows.
atmosphere. Yeah,
Right, Greg
that's it.
Stein stepping out from the shadows. All that stuff cannot be done in color.
Yeah, it just loses something somehow, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. I don't know why, but to me, it's almost like black and white is more dreamlike, like something like I've had a nightmare or a dream of something, and that would make it scarier. Like Eraserhead's a good example. That's why it's
Oh
such a
yeah,
good movie.
Razorhead. Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember getting introduced by a college buddy like 30 years ago to Eraserhead, And we got a little high that night, I shall say. And we
Same
threw
here. Same
Eraserhead
here.
on, and it was like, oh, I couldn't. He's like, you got to see this. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, I enjoyed the film. I think it's a really fun film, but oh my goodness, it's crazy.
Takes a few sittings to get through the whole thing.
Oh, the baby. I mean, the baby is
The
just like,
baby, the family of the wife. I mean, all
uh,
of it.
yeah, it's disturbing.
It is, but it's which yeah. And here's what something that you would never think that would happen, but thank goodness it did. And that is Mel Brooks saw that and loved it, and that's why he hired David Lynch to do the Elephant Man. And because of that, we got a fantastic, fantastic Elephant Man movie. Nobody else could have done it like it was done.
Yeah, Lynch
It was
was,
like
well, like a lot of directors. Unfortunately, Pop, he was great in his early days, and now he's kind of, I don't know, not as good.
David
Than his
Lynch.
later stuff. Yeah, he hasn't
Yeah,
done anything really great in a long time, has he?
just like John Carpenter, right?
Yeah, because he did
But
that Twin Peaks remake or whatever, that reboot, and I heard that really sucked bad. So
I do give credit for George Miller. I mean, uh, the new Mad Max was okay for considering he went back to that well that was like decades old. He did a good job on that one.
yeah, it wasn't bad, but I thought it was kind of a little bit woke because Max wasn't kind of
Oh,
really
it
the
was
central character.
yes, it was straight up gender swapped. Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
so
That was
that
the
kind of
only thing I
bugged me.
didn't like. Yes,
I still think the Road Warrior is the best of the Mad Max films. That's
it
just a
is.
classic, and it's got Brian May's wonderful, score in it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was like, oh, what happened was they made the first movie, which was good. Wasn't really mass aired in the U.S., but
Yeah, I
that
like it. It's good.
yeah, it was. It was a little rough around the edges, but
Yeah.
and then of course it didn't help that they dubbed over Mel Gibson's voice. That kind of hurt. But they had refined it and fine tuned it by the time they made the Road Warrior.
Oh yeah.
And from what I read in the interview, the reason why 3 was such a total shift was because he was planning on making a completely different movie, and the studio went back and say, "Stop, stop, hit the brakes, no." Road Warrior was a success. We want you to work on that next. And he said, "Well, I'm working on this movie." And they said, "Well, no, you're going to work on a third Mad Max movie." So he had to take the movie he was working on and change it and combine it and make it into 3.
Yeah, I never cared for 3 much. It was okay. I mean, Tina Turner was kind of fun, but I
I think
didn't
the
think it
kids
was.
ruined it. It's because, oh my God, it's rented around a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as good as the second film. But yeah,
Definitely
I
not.
love the second film. It's got a great story. The entire cast is really good.
The best thing about the
Uh,
third movie was the soundtrack.
oh, I love the soundtrack, but the chase sequences too. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a better movie for the chase scenes. The crazy mayhem of those chases. Like, I don't even know how the people weren't killed filming that
Some
stuff.
of them almost were.
Well,
I
I
would say
imagine.
right. If it came down to it, if somebody was to ask me what American-made movie comes close with the chase scene, now we all know Bullet was great,
Bullet
but it
was great.
right, but it
Yeah.
wasn't on the scale of Mad Max. I would say
Well, no,
if we were to say a chase scenes on the scale of Mad Max, American-made is definitely the Blues Brothers.
I haven't seen it so long. I'll have to take your word for it. I forget it now.
Oh, there are so many cars
Uh,
and crashes, and the
oh,
chase scene
was
is
there?
so extended.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't
one of the
seen it in
best.
like
Yeah,
40 years, probably. Yikes.
yeah. John Landis was definitely a
Uh,
fan of car chases.
cool. Well, car chases were kind of a big thing back then, though, weren't they?
Yeah, when they had real cars, the muscle cars, instead of
Yeah.
like Prius is like what I drive now.
Yeah. Instead of the plastic cars.
Or it was worse. What's worse, or is these triple X movies? I think they're called Fast and Furious, where it's
Oh
just
yeah.
green screen. It's just green screen. It shows the
Oh,
driver inside of the car, and they're just sitting there like they're turning the wheel, and you can see blur on a green screen next to them. I'm like, oh
oh
my
no.
God, they don't even bother filming it on a road anymore.
That's sad. Yeah.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I can watch any of
Jeez.
the like Smoking the Bandit. You
Hmm.
can watch that, and you know that that's them in a car going down the road. When it shows
Right.
the interior and them two are talking back and forth, you could tell that's a real exterior outside the car. But now, when you watch Fast and Furious and any of the new movies, it's just a green screen outside the car, and they're just sitting there.
Well, Cannonball Run, that was all filmed live, was it not?
Yep. Yeah, all that was Hal Needham, and considering he was a director, I mean, he was a stuntman. He went back.
Right.
He was, but by the way, he was a Captain Kirk stand-in on TOS. You know that,
Oh,
right?
was he really? Oh, I
Yeah,
never knew that. Wow, that's cool.
yeah. All the way back to the episode where no man has gone before.
Oh,
But
wow.
yes, so he went on from there. He made Smokey and the Bandit, and he made Hooper, and he made the Cannonball Run. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he
the
was
fact that you had
pretty
right, you had
big
an
back then.
actual you had an actual stuntman making movies, and that's why they had so many stunts in them.
Right. Well, he knew how to do it, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Man,
But still, at least with Smokey the Bandit, really good plot and a really funny movie.
I liked.
The
Yeah, his movies were good. I love Cannonball Run too. It was so goofy, but it was a lot of fun.
I know it's like even okay. I'm guilty. I watched it again a couple weeks ago because of Valerie Perrine, and she's going through her Parkinson's right now.
Oh yeah.
But watching it again, it brought back all these memories because I hadn't seen it in so many years. But Jack
Mm.
Elam was so funny. My God, he was the funniest part of that entire movie.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in that movie.
It
For
was right.
kind of a goofy comedy, it was a really great film actually.
And Siskel and Ebert viewed it as one of their worst of the year.
Well, they were Siskel and Ebert, right?
Yes, they were very, very picky. But
Well, it was Dom DeLuise in that too, right? If I remember correctly.
Captain Chaos.
That was yeah, he was great. He was a good actor too in his day. Jeez.
He was so funny.
Yeah, he was hilariously great in that movie.
Even the movie The End, Burt Reynolds' movie The End, where he's trying to commit suicide. Have you seen that one with Tom Reynolds?
No, I have
Tom-
not seen that one actually. That's another one I should add to my list, I guess.
It bombed because it was, like I said, the theme was suicide. So,
Right.
but the movie was, he of course he never actually committed suicide, but it still doesn't matter.
Right.
But because of that, the movie never went over very well. But it's still
Mm.
funny.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's one I'll have to check out one of these days. Boy, I've got so much stuff I need to watch. I'm like Jill, like I think we both got a couple thousand things on our watch list we should get around to.
Well,
some
I have to
lifetime.
I have to ask really quick. What do you think about? I'm sure you've seen on Twitter and everything that they're actually making a History of the World Part 2 by Mel Brooks.
Is Mel involved with it at all?
Oh, I'm sure in paycheck only.
Well, it'll probably suck then.
Well, there's a trailer out. You can watch the trailer,
Oh.
and it looks like every woke piece of shit that's out right now. I'll put it
Oh,
that way.
jeez. That's man, I can't believe Mel Brooks signing on for that. That sucks.
Well, he's in his almost 100 or probably somewhere
Yeah,
around
he's
there.
getting up there, isn't he? Wow, yeah, he's got
He is. But it's what's interesting is why that movie, the first one, bombed. I remember seeing the first one of the movie and at the theaters.
Me too.
I think I maybe laughed once, maybe twice.
I didn't care for it really, to be quite honest. Yeah,
Okay,
I
let me
thought
ask you.
stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let me ask you your opinion, PvP, since you're aware of Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Here's my opinion of Mel Brooks. In his movies, the more you see Mel Brooks, the more unfunny it was.
Yeah,
It seemed like the less you see Mel Brooks, the better the movie it was. That's why Young Frankenstein, in my opinion, is the best because he wasn't in it at all.
Yeah, I like Blazing Saddles a lot too.
Right, but if you watch Blazing Saddles, you go back every time they show his scene, the movie just stops and crawls to a halt, and he's not funny.
Well, I guess he was a writer, not an actor.
Right, but then remember his ego got so big. By the time you got to High Anxiety, all you do is watch the credits starring Mel Brooks, written by Mel Brooks,
High
produced by Mel
Anxiety.
Brooks, directed by Mel Brooks.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. A silent movie, I didn't mind. It was okay because it
No,
was
well,
such a weird idea, right?
Well, it was okay because I mean I'm a fan of Alfred Hitchcock, so it was a great homage to Alfred Hitchcock. But what it was like he had by that point I think his ego was so big that he thought that he could just make anything and make people laugh. And his
Yeah.
movies were just going downhill. Dracula Dead and Loving It, and The End. I mean, they were god awful movies.
Yeah, it seems to be a pattern with a lot of great directors. They start off really, really well, and then slowly they turn into hacks.
Ego kicks in, yeah.
Yeah.
And they, what they do, they think, well, all I do is put my name on it, and people will come from far and wide and watch it, right?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it with people like Spielberg, I guess.
It is.
It's
But
like
you know
Lucas
what?
too. I mean, I thought the first couple Star Wars films were great, but I mean, I think my favorite Lucas film would be American Graffiti, quite honestly, because I thought that was a really
That's when he was
great
still an
film.
independent filmmaker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great script, a great a bunch of characters the way he wrote them, a great cast that he put together, probably mostly unknowns at that time.
They were.
I mean, even Harrison Ford in that movie, I don't think anybody probably ever heard of him
Nope, that was his
at
first
that
role.
time.
That's when he was literally a carpenter, and George Lucas said, "Hey, you look okay. Let's put you in front of the camera."
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't have many scenes, right? He was just the guy in the car that
Right.
basically he was like a plot device to have that, race at the end, when the car crashed and,
Yes.
you know, yeah.
And I want to mention Lemon Pie says cheers, and Lemon Pie says I'm going to head out. Have a good night, folks. I'm sorry I'm
Yeah.
so late answering these chats, Lemon Pie. That was like 8 minutes ago. But I am going to close this up.
Yeah, I probably should head off myself because I should probably try and think of something to cook around here and get some sleep.
Okay,
Because
and
I
I
got to
want
work tomorrow, sadly.
same here. Same here. I want to. Well, actually, no. I've got Jill's stream. Jill will let me know if Jill is unable to stream. That I will probably work. But right now, I'm going to stand by and wait to hear from her.
No, Jill's still here. She just typed something in the
Good night,
chat.
Jill. And I'm so sorry, Jill. Like I said, seriously, our hearts are with you, Jill.
Yeah, night, Jill. It was really a disappointment that you weren't able to join us this evening.
Yeah, but I'm glad you were able to be in the chat, Jill.
I just hope your computer's okay.
Yeah, well, if it's in capable hands, that's for sure. If anybody can fix it, she can.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody in the chat.
I could start smacking her computer for you. I heard that really works good on TVs.
No. I had a TV, old black and white, 19-inch. That every time it stopped working or it would start messing up, I'd stab it with a screwdriver, and that would fix it. I'm not
Oh,
kidding.
my.
Yeah.
No, I've always heard just smack, just like the TVs that the reception didn't come in, just smack the top of it a couple times, it'll start working.
No, that's when you adjust the antenna.
Well, then what was the slap in the TV for?
That's when when the horizontal goes out of whack or the vertical.
Yeah, so there.
There you go. Okay. I wanted to thank everybody really from the bottom of my heart, everybody in the chat. I'm going to just say everybody in the chat, Lemon Pie, Scogly, Citizen, Citizen 333, but Lemon Pie and Scogly, like I said, and 69 Mega. Thank you, 69 Mega. You suck. And PvP. And Scotty for being here, and Captain for being here, Resolute Germ for being here, Eugene Bird for being here. I know I'm probably missing names, and I apologize if I missed your name. Lemon Pie, I think I mentioned, and Gorilla, thank you for being here, and PvP. Gorilla, you want to tell us about your channel?
Well, let's see. Wednesday there we'll be doing a Stranger Things before Gilligan's Island. We'll be starting season 4, but then for a watch party. Then on Friday we are reviewing the Walters episode, "The Boy from the CCC." Saturday, Babylon 5. We're getting right into where it gets really good.
Okay.
And then Sunday for Dystopian Month, we're doing our last movie for Dystopian Month, and then we'll be moving on to a different theme for February. We are watching A Boy and His Dog.
Written by Harlan Ellison.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I read the book. And Jill says, I will let you know if I have to cancel by midnight. No hurry, Jill. Less than an hour, she says. Good night, Jill says PvP. And oh my God, a screwdriver. Glad you didn't get electrocuted. I know. I thought about that too, Jill, but it worked. It was an old black and white 19-inch TV. It had vents on the air vents on the side because it got hot and had tubes. This was back in the vacuum tube days.
Oh,
and I
wow.
would just start stabbing, and it's like, oh, that would clear it up a little bit. And Jill says, "Oh, cool." So, PvP, would you like to tell us about your channel? What do you have?
Nothing much new to report. Just doing more music playlists and adding albums, that people might want to listen to. I still haven't figured out what kind of actual video content I want to create, but hopefully sometime this year. I really need to, think about it and get my act together that way. But if anybody wants some tunes to listen to in the background while they're doing stuff, please come on and check it out.
Very cool. And you know what I'm going to start doing is, I was thinking about this the other day when I had my last stream, is when we get to the end of the stream here, I'm going to be prepared to, every time I show you guys, like I like, for example, when I ask Gorilla, say, okay, Gorilla, tell us about your channel. as he talks about his channel, I'm going to pull it up on the screen here so people can actually see it. And I
Yeah,
think
that's
that'll
a good idea.
entice people to go click on it. Right. And then when I say, all right, PvP, tell us about your channel, I will pull your channel up on the screen and let people see what it looks like. And at the same time, put the links down in the chat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if it actually, has an effect. And, because I mean, I get subs very slowly, right?
Right. And I
Bit
haven't
by
seen
bit.
anybody else do it. So I think it's an original. I think it's, and for what I've seen, it's an original idea. People usually say, tell us about your channel. And people just talk and then they on the next person, talk on the next person. But I'm going to actually click the links and add it. And that way, when you're talking about your channel, I'll put it up on the screen so people can actually see it as you're talking about it. I think that
Yeah, that's
might
a good
help
idea.
lure them
That's a
in
good
to
idea.
click and sub. Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you think,
it
Gorilla?
might actually, have results. It's worth trying. Yeah.
Yep. That way, we're not just telling them about your channel, but we're showing them your channel.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
And Jill says, nice idea. Well, Jill, you'll be the first one, I guarantee you. When I say, Jill, tell us about your channel, what I'll do is I'll pop up and I'll show Jill's channel right there. And I'll kind of scroll up and down to kind of give everybody a preview of the content she has. So with that, I wanted to thank everybody. I know it's been a long night. We've been here for over 3 hours, which is a lot asking for you guys. And it means a lot. A lot. I keep repeating myself. I hate doing that. But thank you out in the chat. And Jill, good luck. I know it's frustrating, but whatever happens, Jill, I'll support you either way. I appreciate you, Jill. We can't have a stream without you. And Gorilla and PvP, thank you so much. And I want to say goodbye to everybody in the chat. Have a great night. I know it's cold, and peace. Try to stay warm. And if you're watching this on the rerun, I hope you enjoy it. Click the sub and the alert button and share with your friends. And have a great night.